Hello everyone, welcome back to the Alpaca Boys, episode number 3. We're here, myself, Born's back from vacation, we've got Kramer Venuto over here, and yeah. So we're back on the couch this week.
One alpaca down, but I guess we got a little bit of a substitution. We got a little swap-a-roo going on. On the bright side, the Jets still only have 2 on their side, so at least you know they're not the complete majority.
You know what? I mean, we may be 2 over here, but we have a lot to prove still. So that's why
Somebody's confident in their off-season moves.
Rob's dealing with a personal thing, so we just talked to him. It sounds like he's got a handle on it, but he might not make it tonight. But he's free to jump in.
Yeah, we're gonna find out if alpacas can swim in basements.
So first up on the agenda, we have our favorite game memories.
Yeah, a little bit of, still a little bit of an introduction, I guess, where you guys can understand who we are and why you should care at all, I guess, about what we think.
Yep.
But so a little thing we like to call About the Alpacas. At least we're gonna try.
The Alpacas.
We're at least gonna try to. We're gonna try out that title for at least one episode and see how much we hate it when we rewatch.
So about me, one of my most favorite memories as a Jets fan is actually with this guy. Is it 2015 at the pub?
Yeah.
When Eric Decker caught that game-winning touchdown to beat the Patriots, and then Board just running up and down the pub, like screaming out of his mind. We both were.
Yeah.
It was a great time.
That was awesome.
And it means something when this guy is screaming for positive reasons because
I think he gave you a kiss.
I hugged him. I hugged a lot of people, but I do remember hugging him too.
which is a big deal.
I was in the front. I was in the
Jets fan,
front bar.
Bills fan.
Right? We were at the front bar. He was in the back,
Right.
and I just started running back and forth
My,
like a crazy.
my little back corner where they put the Bills game on for me in that corner.
I think Robbie was there too, wasn't he?
I think he was.
That was a good time.
Damn, Eric Decker.
Him and B. Marshall.
Yeah.
That was a good duo.
Those were 2 massive wide
Oh
receivers.
my God.
Yeah.
I still didn't make the playoff.
Still.
Well, don't worry. I'll talk about that because my favorite game memory is exactly why you didn't win the playoffs. But we'll get to that in a second.
That's pretty much it for me.
Me or you guys?
Yeah, you go next one.
Around the horn.
So I used to be a Jet season ticket holder, and it was 2002. They were playing at 4 o'clock, and they needed one of 2 things to happen. They needed Cleveland to either lose to Atlanta. Cleveland ended up winning, and at the same time, they needed Patriots to actually beat the Dolphins. If that happens and they win a division, if they win at 4 o'clock against the Packers. So it was a 4 o'clock start, and it was the first time I ever went into a Jets game late, because on that bus I told you guys about, that tailgating bus, the Jet Nut bus, we had TVs on it. We were watching that 1 o'clock game. Patriots were down quite a bit. I don't remember how down they were, but they started to come back, and then they forced overtime. That's when me and my dad were like, all right, we got to get into this stadium at this point. I have this radio on. It was one of those old Discman radios, but it had an AM button on it, but you can still play. Yeah, that's how old that thing was. And I'm screaming as I'm hearing the coin toss I'm going up the escalator, and I hear the Patriots got the toss. New England won the toss, and I scared some girl right in front of me going up the escalator. And then, so then, as this game is going, as the first quarter is going on, I'm listening to Marv Albert do play-by-play of overtime, and my dad's asking me what's going on, and these other fans around me are asking me what's going on, because I'm the only one in the area with the radio listening to this game. And it was like a few minutes into the first quarter, and all of a sudden, Favre for the Packers just throws a bomb for an incomplete pass, but there's a Jets penalty. I think it was offsides. And all of a sudden, as I hear the kick, Marv Albert say it's good, I literally jump up and yell, "It's good!" And then everybody in the stadium, I guess because they had other people listening to it too, and in certain sections of that stadium, there was a TV like in the suites or whatever, and this place just erupted all at the same time.
And this was before you could watch the game on your phone, right?
Yes, this is before. This is all prehistoric times. So we're all like going, hands to the heavens, all that shit. And I remember seeing like the Green Bay players on the field are going like this. Like, what the fuck are these idiots screaming about? Because there was a penalty on the Jets at the same time. And then after that, they just beat the shit out of the Packers like 41-14 or something like that. And they won the division. It was one of the most memorable, greatest times I've ever been at a game before. Never forget.
Well, especially after the last couple decades after that, I can understand why that was one of the last.
Sorry, that was a little detailed, but I remember it
awesome.
like that. Yeah.
So I was torn between two for mine. My first was my first game experience, which was a Jets game, not even a Giants game. Rob and I spent the weekend in Boston, and we were on the way home, and his mom called him, and she was like, I won tickets to the Jets games. You guys want to go? And it was box seats, free food, free beer. I don't even remember who the Jets played.
You said free beer, that makes sense.
Yeah. What I do remember is at the end of the game, there was this guy in the suite with us whose name was Peyton, who must have drank between 15 and 20 beers in just the last 2 minutes of the game. Because he was like, they're free and they're not bringing any more. And he just kept going. And Rob and I were like, 20, maybe 21. So we were like, oh, this is cool, free beer. Let's not have too many so that they don't know we're 19. This guy was like mid-30s, just like not giving a fuck.
Did you guys catch that story where it was like we were 20 or 21 and then he was like we shouldn't drink too much so that they don't find out we're 19? I just wanted you guys to keep it. I found that entertaining.
And then the other one that I'm torn between is that game or the one that we went to, the Giants-Browns preseason game.
Barkley, Barkley's
Saquon
rookie
Barkley
year.
and Baker Mayfield. We got there at like 7:30 in the morning because it was a 1 o'clock game and we were going to tailgate breakfast. The week before, you went to the game with Rob and parking was $20. So we're like, oh cool, it'll be $20 for parking. It was $40 for parking because it was a Giants game and not a Jets game.
So it looks like you guys made the financially conscious decision when you chose your fandom. Yeah. This guy's just bougie.
We drank 6 bottles of champagne, had 2 gallons of orange juice, a dozen eggs, a pound of bacon, and a 5-pack of sausage as our tailgate meal.
You can't go wrong with bacon.
Yeah, I mean, it was breakfast. That's why we had champagne instead of beer. We had mimosas.
That was a hearty breakfast.
I don't remember who won the game. I remember meeting the Bud Knight, though.
That's pretty cool.
And we got sunburn as heck on one side of our bodies.
Yeah.
Look like Braveheart with like this.
It was very not good. And there was an old guy sitting next to me who at one point he yelled out at the Giants. He was like, if you had real jobs, you would be fired by now. I remember that.
Oh my god.
But those are my 2 favorite games.
Surely enough, McAdoo was fired shortly after that.
I can't pick which one I like more, but
That's hilarious.
We also ended up going to Roots in Morristown, completely underdressed, wearing I don't know,
wearing jerseys, like drunk after a
one of
football
those
game.
fancy steakhouses.
We called before we went to make sure it was okay, and they were like, as long as you're not wearing bandanas. We were like, that's a really weird only thing to have in your dress code, but yeah, we don't. We'll leave our gang memorabilia at home.
And now it's the pandemic, and they're like, please wear a bandana or anything around your face. Just don't let me see your mouth.
Yeah, but those were my 2 favorite games. What about yourself?
So mine, easy. So Rob, and this and Alpaca and I had a tradition of going to the Bills-Jets game here in Jersey every year for several years.
6, 7 years, right?
Yeah, something like that going. Once we were able to really start driving on our own was when we kind of started that tradition. And it was one day we were drunk at the bar at it was like the night before Thanksgiving. You know, like the night before Thanksgiving was a popular go-out time back when we were young and spry. And
most popular bar
biggest drinking night of the year.
yeah. And so we get towards that point where we're really drunk, so only about 11 o'clock or so, and it's still at night. But we start thinking about, what? Why don't we see what tickets are like going up to Buffalo? And this was week 17 in the 2015-16 season, where week 17 was January 3rd, up in Buffalo. First time I had never been, and I was like, I did not care. So we're drunk looking up these things, and we're like, these tickets are like a fraction, like a third of the price for the same exact seat that we would pay for a Jets game. I don't even want to know what it would cost for a Giants game. But so we pounce on them immediately, we buy them. we wake up the next day and be like, I guess we're going. So we eventually comes right after New Year's, hungover a little bit, obviously. We trek on up for the first time, 6-hour drive up to Buffalo. And I remember going up and it's snowing and I'm in awe because I'm just like, I can't believe I'm here. I'm walking into a Walmart and you see Buffalo Bills stuff and I'm like, this is really what heaven must actually be like. And so I just remember, I first remember the game where it was an ugly game. I think like Tyrod was our leading rusher. Watkins went off for 100-something, so when he was still with us. But the biggest thing was that the Jets needed to win to get into the playoffs that year, and Fitzpatrick threw interceptions on the last 3 possessions of the game in order to lose after we had a very subpar offense when your quarterback leads the rushing.
One of them was in the end zone.
Yards.
Yeah. Remember that? Yep. I said to you on that drive, we're going to the fucking playoffs. I said that.
That's why it happened.
And then they didn't. And so on top of the fact that but beyond the fact that the Bills won the first game I got to go up there for, the tailgating. Because it was so damn cold, and I thought I was smart. I had like 8 pairs of soccer socks on and everything. Did not wear waterproof shoes. Needless to say, the hand warmers I threw in my everything. I threw hand warmers in my socks. Did not work. In the gloves, sort of worked. Down the crotch, only place that it worked. But I also remember like we had like these like New York strip steaks. And it was so damn cold, I did not want to take the gloves off to cut anything. So with my gloved hands, I took like the steak and just caveman ate it. And it got to the point where I had to wash those gloves 3 times to get the meat stains out of them because I was not taking it off. But there was nothing better and more surreal than finally for like the first time getting up to what is now, it was New Era, I didn't get to see it when it was officially the Ralph, but going up to that stadium, it's in the middle of nowhere, it's seriously, like that was easily the best one. Yes.
It's awesome.
Can't wait to get back up there when they're opening back up now. They're up to, I know New York said 20% capacity for this upcoming season at this rate. We'll see how the pandemic continues
It's
to
gonna go
unfold.
up. I mean, the draft now is happening, so they're starting to. It's more and more.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, limited and whatnot, and like all the people that are gonna be close are gonna be people who are vaccinated, and then I'm not sure all the details, but the fact that they're at least progressing towards that shows that we as a
we're
as a
getting there.
group, as a country are progressing, which is thank God. The fact that we can't even watch games at a bar is like ridiculous.
No more Goodell's basement.
Yeah.
How many M&Ms do you think that brother ate?
That still did really
Out of all
well.
the guys, a gazillionaire. He's got so much money, but he's doing it live from his basement. He couldn't have. There's no other place in his house.
There's no way that's his basement. He knows.
Yeah,
he's
that was a
something.
studio. It was like oddly intimate though.
It was obviously
Roger Goodell's.
It was Robert Kraft's guest basement.
Did you notice every time?
Yeah,
they
that's called a
made
massage parlor.
Every time a team.
In New England, not in Florida.
Oh, my bad, my
Because
bad.
every time they made a selection, he would wave his card at the guy. Congratulations! Like a fucking asshole.
The best part is when the crowd. Now we can actually hear the boos now.
Yeah.
Last year we couldn't get.
Yeah, last year you had to like egg people and he's like,
I was
"Come
watching it on
boo
Zoom
me."
with you.
Yeah.
Me and you
Especially
were
towards the
talking.
end. Well, they just put him on the TV. They didn't need all the other people on it. They could just put him, and he
Yeah,
would have
they
gone off for the entire way.
Good.
You really have a great affiliation with Roger Goodell, don't you?
Oh, I can't stand it.
Why?
No, actually, well, I liked him at first when he started penalizing the Patriots for all the stupid shit they did, but I don't know. After that, he's just got that
God damn it.
now.
He's the face of all the decisions we don't like that are being made.
Yeah.
Really, at the end of the
Yeah.
day, because he represents his job is to basically be the
Face
like the bulletproof vest for the 32 owners of the NFL. It's like they make their decisions. This is their thing. He's like, all right, I gotta organize it, and if they complain, I'm the one on the messengers. They'll shoot me. So it's a good thing he's compensated the way he
Yeah,
is.
but yeah, that's what I'm saying. This guy's making money.
I mean,
a nice pen.
yeah. I mean,
It's like $40 million a year, whatever it is. Something like
That's ridiculous.
yeah, those were
What do you
organic
mean-
items.
that. Yeah, I think it's $40 million. Let me turn that off. Sorry.
So what's up?
Forgot about that.
So they at home can't smell it, so they don't really care.
I thought it smelled nice when we got down here. So what's up next?
All right, so I guess we also got to recap. Let's touch on free agency because that's obviously the hot topic that we're on right now. And while a lot of the big moves get made in that first week and a half, including that whatever that legal tampering period or whatever they call it nowadays, Obviously, we have more moves that sometimes are just as significant, if not more so. Because you get the guys that might be a discount, or you get the guys that
are making a few visits.
Right, and all of a sudden you're able to nab that person who's in high demand. So, I know like the Jets, for example, have had a couple moves recently.
Yeah, from the last week or so, we signed Justin Hardy. I don't know if that was last Wednesday or it was around that time.
Might have been Thursday.
He was the cornerback from
No, he was special teamer from the Saints.
Yeah.
He's like one of the best gunners in the NFL. So I'm happy to have that guy, and he's a secondary. You know, he plays in the secondary too. So
yeah, and those gunners are so underrated. I remember we had this kid Marcus Easley that we drafted out of UConn. And the only reason I knew him is because at this point UConn and Rutgers were in the Big Ten together, or in the Big East together, and this is when I was at Rutgers, so I knew the UConn roster.
Right.
And I thought he was going to be good because I actually got to see him live. I was naive as hell. But he ended up on the Bills, and we actually kept him for so long. He's like our 5th wide receiver strictly because he was one of the better gunners and had like he was always top 5 for most tackles on special teams.
Well, that's how Terrell Davis got his starting job.
is it?
Yeah.
He
rocked
him. Blew this guy off on special teams.
That's somebody's
huge
son.
tackle. Yeah.
That's somebody's son.
Yeah, it's like, ooh.
We should give this guy...
Sorry I did that to you, my man.
Damn, that's crazy.
Can you breathe? Are you good? I think he's alive.
And he knew what he was doing on special teams.
I think I made him shoot himself.
Yeah, but like sometimes that's how you gotta make it. Like Antonio Brown too. He was a 6th-round pick that was just a punt return, kick return before he like honed in on that craft of route running, had good hands, and got his chance. Because Pittsburgh always has wide receivers.
Yeah.
Somehow, some way, they just always find them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Tomlin was a wide receiver, wasn't he?
Was he what?
Mike Tomlin?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember.
Was he? I thought he was like.
Yeah, no, he was on the offensive side because he actually went to the same college as McDermott.
Right.
And McDermott was on the defensive side. McDermott was a safety.
Yeah.
At the same time, Tomlin was on the offensive side of the ball.
So that's probably why he has a really good eye for a wide receiver.
That's fair. Kind of like how McDermott was a defensive back, and you see how Trey White turned out. Like obviously he has skill, but that involves development. Teron Johnson was a 5th-round pick that has turned into a solid slot corner. Yeah, so like if you have an eye for it because of that playing, it definitely has to make it.
We signed Dan Feeney from the Chargers.
Yeah.
I think statistically the worst center last year, but he also plays guard.
Yeah, so he's versatile, but I'm pissed about
I mean, if you're statistically the worst, that means you can't do that. So I wouldn't call that versatile.
It just means that everybody else who's in that stat pool is better than you. It doesn't mean you can't do it.
You can't do it well.
Not, I mean, we should have kept. We had a guy in
Elfline
from the Vikings last year, right?
Yeah.
Why didn't we just fucking keep him? I don't understand.
Who is
that? Elfline.
Oh, Pat Elfline. Yeah, Elfline.
Why did we get rid of this guy but sign Feeney?
I'm thinking the money. Because Elfine actually got, I thought, like a couple million, like $3 million a year.
No, I think we just picked him up off the.
No, I mean from where he went. He went to Carolina. I think Carolina paid him more this year.
More than Feeney? I don't even know.
I think so, because Feeney's been hurt ever since he came to the league. Like, I actually liked him when the Chargers drafted him. I think he was like a day 2 out of Indiana kid.
I thought they were about the same. That's why when I was reading it, I'm like, why the fuck do we even get rid of this guy and get this fucking
I gotta check. Yeah, I gotta check the.
When I wasn't around last time, I was really pissed that they didn't even talk to Lindsley at all. I was really pissed about that. Then Thuney went to Kansas City, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was pissed about that. And Zeitler went to the Ravens. I was pissed about that too. Like you guys, once you guys let him go, I was like, he better be on the phone with them right now. But I don't know. That could have
Maybe
to do with.
You also got to remember, it's always mutual, because at the end of the day, we want to say our owners or GMs got to get on there and just sign them. It's like, they're human beings. They can just say, no, I do not want to play for the Jets.
Right.
I do not want to play
You
in New York.
can't blame them
I don't want
either.
to pay New York taxes.
The Jets. I love the Jets, but I mean, these guys want to go somewhere and win.
Or they want to
How
go
do you guys
somewhere where it's
feel
nice weather and they have families that they want to take care of.
that
Or
too,
they don't want to pay New York State taxes.
Good offensive lineman. That's what I was the most angry about. Besides not getting any of those guys that I just mentioned, I thought they did a pretty decent job on who they did pick up.
Yeah.
What about the pass catchers? Corey Davis, Keelan Cole.
I'm very happy.
Keelan Cole, dude, I am fucking pumped.
That was a great pickup.
He has been under the radar for fucking years.
Yeah.
With horrible quarterback play.
Quarterback play, and he's a great blocker.
He was on Hard Knocks one year, and he was like the best wide receiver on that that season of Hard Knocks.
And he's probably going to be our wide receiver 4 at the end of the day. You know, so
I really like the Tyler Kroft signing.
Tight end.
Yeah, from Rutgers. So it's like he's a hometown guy.
Yeah.
Coming home.
Yep. I mean, he's not stealing any shows, but he's definitely a serviceable guy.
Yeah, more of a pass catcher than a blocker.
So we can get back to it really quickly. Dan Feeney was a 1-year, $3.5 million. Right. And Pat Elefine signed a 3-year, $13.5 million with 6 guaranteed. So not only is it the money, don't get me wrong, Pat Elefine is worth more money than Dan Feeney, but it certainly allows you to just, hopefully get a depth piece, maybe a rotational depth piece for now, and not tie up long-term assets. Considering especially
there's still a couple more guys out there. Is Turner from the
he's not found a home yet.
There.
He's probably asking for a lot of money too. That is
probably. I mean, it could happen because at the end of the day, like the wide receiver market, we'll get to Galladay in a second, but we saw how like everybody was asking for Galladay money, and the only person who got it was Galladay.
Yeah. The only other guy that I really have written down is, two more. Sheldon Rankins. I think he's a great run stopper. I think it's a great addition to the D-line.
That was a first-round pick.
Again, he's got to stay
Carl
healthy.
Lawson and Vinny Curry.
Our defensive line could be insane this year. It really could. It could be. But the guys got to stay healthy.
Yeah.
On the bright side,
that's
though,
how I feel about a few of the guys they brought in for the Giants, too.
Yeah. On the bright side, though, by getting a lot of bodies, it lets you rotate people so that way they're not playing 50 snaps a turn, they're playing 35 snaps a game, and you're getting them fresh, and you hopefully imagine the less strain, the lower amount of injury.
Yeah, so we also have Marcus Joyner.
That's who I was going to bring up. I always confuse him with Joyner Lucas.
Corner, right?
Safety.
He
Older guy, but he's serviceable. He played corner, but he was terrible.
Right.
Safety, he did pretty well.
He was very good last year with John Abram on the Raiders.
Yeah,
but like he said, they tried to play him in the slot corner role, and he's much more of he could play in the box safety, but not necessarily have to line up across a man in the slot and play man up.
So that might put Ashton Davis in the nickel corner slot. Who knows? I'm not sure. Or we picked up an undrafted guy last year, Guidry, something like that.
Guidry.
The last 6 games or so, he did pretty well. That's probably why we didn't sign Brian Poole back.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of question marks in the secondary for the Jets. So
Lawson too, solid signing.
Yeah, he's a solid signing. For corners, I just hope if we can make at least a push for Steve Nelson.
Yeah.
That was just released by Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'd be happy to
Go
have
get
that guy. He's not a CB1, he's a CB2, but it means we need all the help we can get in the secondary right now.
Right, and you get a good CB2, and then you just run a bracketed defense against like whatever, and to help the CB1 idea kind of, and then you at least kind of.
There's a lot of promise with Bryce Hall. We got him in the 5th round last year. He did pretty well. He came in late into the season because he was still recovering from an injury. He did pretty well. He can go up to. He has a chance of being the best corner on the team, but he hasn't proven it yet. It's still very unproven. So.
I remember pre-injury at Virginia, he was actually projected a second-round pick at worst at one point, and then that injury just kind of torpedoed his stock. And I remember he kept being there, and I'm thinking, all right, Bean knows his defensive backs, he's going to get a guy like this towards the back end. And then 5th round, all of a sudden the Jets hand in their card with it, and I remember yelling at my TV because I liked that kid. And I was like, damn it, the Jets are becoming confident. This is not possible. Just when the Bills become confident,
so
now
weird,
we can't have both of us all of a sudden hit relevancy at the same time. What are we doing here?
And then today we signed Vinny Curry. There's another piece to the defensive line. Another guy's got to stay healthy in order to contribute. So I mean, there's a lot of that on the defensive line. But if everyone's healthy,
you got a potential pass rush finally.
Yeah, especially because
sack exchange 2.0, man. It really.
We haven't had a pass rush in years.
And if you think about that,
Rex Ryan as coach, he always had to figure out a blitz or some sort.
Right.
He made Calvin Pace was it 13.5 sacks in a year at like 32 years old?
Yeah.
Like that's manufacturing
from all
pressure.
the stunts and all that.
Really exciting. And then Tevin Coleman from the 49ers.
That guy can be explosive.
He can. I mean, we have all serviceable running backs at this point, which is I'm okay with at this point.
Yeah.
As long as we beef up the offensive line, and these guys just naturally get better. So I'd be okay with going out with these guys after the draft. I really would. If we pick another running back in like the 4th or 5th round, I'd be cool with that too. But taking a guy like Najee Harris, somebody like that in this draft, the Jets are in no position to be doing anything like that.
Now, hypothetically, you guys got the 2nd pick in the 2nd round as well. If you're looking at like the top 3 running backs. Let's just cut it off there. We'll call it Etienne, Najee Harris, and who's the North Carolina kid? I'm blanking on.
Carter, Michael Carter.
Not Michael Carter. The Javonte Williams.
Oh, right.
If one of those 3 is there with your pick, and you obviously did not address running back in that first round, I'm not saying I'd take him over. Would you be okay if the Jets
The second round?
Yeah.
No.
Still too early for one of those guys if they
Yeah,
drop?
offensive line and corner. I mean, that's way more important than a running back at this point.
I got you.
Way more. The offensive line gets better than the running backs that we already have get better.
I got
Do
you.
you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Or if they go Sewell, Horn, Najee Harris, would you be upset with that?
yes.
No, if you went
Because you
off,
want Zach Wilson.
Yes.
oh, yeah. We'll get to that one in a hot
Okay.
second too. But and then there was also Delshon Phillips, the only other one that I remember.
Right,
From
yeah,
the thing. But that's
From the Bills.
that's just one of those like hungry, unproven young guys where it's like at worst he'll be a depth. He's honestly you could even release him. It's
Yeah.
not like it's going to be a bunch of money on the books.
Yeah.
But
I think
low
he's only
risk, high
25,
reward.
right?
Another guy that
Yeah.
I thought we could have kept some of the guys that we already had on the team, like Terrell Basham, who we let go, Frankie Louvu, who we let go, who played the linebacker position, comparable to this guy. And I mean, why don't we just keep the guys in house? I don't fucking get it.
We got Neville
really
Hewitt
don't.
still, right? Neville Hewitt, we still have him, right?
Neville Hewitt's still on, yeah. But Terrell Basham was
That's right.
almost
Basham
more than serviceable last year.
was.
Yeah, I feel like a big part of it is also like whenever you get that new front office in, they want their guys, and there's those politics behind the doors.
No,
like,
there's so many variables there. We don't. I mean, just from a fan's
But, no, I
perspective,
got
we're
it.
just like this fucking guy was already here. There must have been something wrong between personal between these guys. You know what I mean? We don't fucking know.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much it. Free agency for Jets.
So, but do you think do you have any moves that you think that they?
I mean, at this
will
point,
make between now and the draft?
At this point, if we can grab the corner, I don't think I would want to pick up Turner at this point. I'd rather pick up the corner if I had to pick one. I mean, obviously, I'd like to have both Steve Nelson and Turner, but it's probably not gonna. We're probably not gonna get both.
No,
I feel like that's being greedy. So if
Yeah.
I'm gonna pick one, I'd rather take the corner.
If either, because at the end of the day, people got to remember that just because you're spending money on, just because like you're like, oh, I'm only paying them for this year, that's cap space. You cannot then carry over to the next year. So you always got to remember, just
That's
because
it.
you're like, oh, I'm spending it this year, it's not going to count next year. It's like, yeah, but if you didn't spend that $2 million this year, all of a sudden next year, it's like, hey, I found $2 million to my cap that all of a sudden now I have that I can
Well,
spend.
it's the money thing, and it's also the corner thing too. You can hit and miss way more on corner almost than most
that's
other
a
positions.
very difficult position to
It
play.
is.
It's
It
gonna be
is.
one of the hard.
If
Outside
you're,
of
if you're a
quarterback,
decent corner,
physically, it's gotta be the hardest.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta be
yeah.
a better athlete than the wide receiver.
Which
Yeah, because you got to run backwards to,
Yes,
to do the same
yes.
shit.
And when they're making them look
These
like,
guys like-
when they make guys like Julio Jones,
Right.
it's like,
Yeah.
what are you supposed to do?
Right.
And the corners are always smaller,
Yeah.
right? A guy who's 5'10" has to cover a guy who's 6'4".
Because if you don't have the twitch, they stay in front of them. Even if you're the same speed, you have to be faster than them. So
Should
that's usually a smaller person. If
Yeah.
you can get at least in front of them, and put your hand out, you can block. You can get in front of him, and fuck the guy up.
You should have been trying to clone Darrell Reeves while you had his DNA in the locker room at all that time. Line up, and we're gonna go 8 defensive backs of Darrell Reeves, and then just 3 down linemen. It'll be fine, especially in this past happy game. But I guess.
So you're
alright,
happy with the active front office, like hitting the ground running?
Besides
Yeah.
the lineman that we didn't get, I think it's been a pretty solid
Yeah,
free agency period for the Jets.
I agree.
Better than in years in recent memory?
Yes.
Adam Gase and Mike McCagnon. I mean,
Yeah.
Okay.
Christian Hackenberg in the second round.
Oh,
Don't
God.
you remember though? He was playing Madden to try to learn how to read coverages.
God.
That's what I
Thanks for reminding me about that.
And that's why we don't play in Miller.
Christian Hackenberg in the second fucking round.
Bill O'Brien didn't even take him, and he was the only coach. The only year that he was good at Penn State was when Bill O'Brien was there.
The second round, the guy was getting mocked in like the 5th for all off season, and we take him in the second round. I don't get it. Never even played a game, played a snap, didn't do anything.
That's when I knew
It was
McCagnon
4 years,
was
right?
a
He was on the
fucking
team
idiot.
4 years. And who was the corner that we signed?
D.
for-
Milner. Oh no,
Yeah.
that you signed. I'm sorry, I went with rookie.
No.
Oh, Tremaine Johnson.
Tremaine Johnson.
Oh
was
my
the
God.
worst
How much
signing.
fucking
Everybody
money was
knew
that?
that one too. Like everybody, even Tremaine Johnson, while he's signing that, is like, sucker.
He's like, I'm glad I took
Can't
that
blame him,
business
man.
class hosted by Sam Bradford.
Le'Veon Bell, that worked out really well
God,
too.
Sam.
Yeah, well, Lev had a chance. I mean, it's not nearly as bad as the corner. So
That's true.
you know, between the signings that we've had so far, it's all things are pointing in the right direction. Though Joe Douglas really hasn't proven anything, but that doesn't mean he hasn't gained my trust yet. You know, I'm going into the situation where he has my trust until he loses it.
And this is the first year that he's got the Adam Gase handcuffs off. Because like you said, they
Right.
were basically oil and water trying to coexist in the same vacuum that entire time.
And
Now
now
you
he
get
has
Gase
his guy.
out of here, and he got to choose the head coach, and he got to choose and he got to approve the head coach's hiring.
Yep.
So all of a sudden now you're hoping for that alignment that every good organization has: your owner, your GM, your head coach, and your quarterback.
Yep.
That needs to be like a spine of your
It
team,
should,
and it needs
yes.
to be
Yeah.
aligned, because you see the good teams and the teams that develop have that, and the ones that flounder. Like look at the Cowboys, for example. That's a prime example of that has all the talent. You want to know why that body can't function? Because that spine is like, eh. In big part because Jerry Jones himself is like, eh, but that's besides the point.
The guy's making draft picks last year on his yacht, off a laptop.
Which
Ballin'.
I don't know what was more balling, that, the dog for Bill Belichick, or what's his name's house, the Arizona Cardinals guy.
That dog has done very well this offseason as well with some signings.
Kurt Kingsbury.
Kingsbury, yeah, in like that MTV Cribs place.
Yeah.
while
What
drafting.
about Mike Vrabel with his kids in the
Let's
background
not-
wearing like fucking costumes?
Oh my god, I was like, those weren't costumes. That's just how they dress.
Oh, really?
Those are the things I'll miss. I mean, we're not going to get that at this point, but.
We can keep our fingers crossed for some Vrabel children
Yeah.
costumes at the draft.
So, I mean, the front office, they did structure-wise, I'm happy with it. But they also added the program for injuries, for injury prevention. They hired this doctor. I think he was from North Carolina or something like that. I don't really know all the details. All I know is they developed this program to really aid and help each individual player with injuries and injury prevention. So they have their own specific plan tailored to each player, not just like one blanket program.
That's clutch.
They're doing a lot of work with each guy. It's one of the biggest reasons why we only won 2 games last year is because of injuries, dude. We not only sucked and had shitty talent,
And
the talent
shitty
that we
coaches.
did
Like,
have
I was like,
was
come on,
fucking hurt all the time.
Well,
So-
and it's also, I think it's awesome that you said they're doing it per player, because a 350-pound offensive lineman needs a different,
Exactly.
like, preventative injury program than a 180-pound corner. Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
And on top of that, like I know recently the Bills had a year or two ago re-renovated and built an entire new facility directly for rehab of injuries and injury prevention and whatnot. And so not only does it certainly work, like if you looked at the Bills the last couple of years, we've actually been relatively healthy, fortunately.
Yeah.
But more importantly, it's a very big attractor to free agents. Like you think, like when you come in, imagine like when you were if you were getting recruited for schools, you go see their facilities and you see these things. And if you're like, these people have all these advanced technologies that are going to make sure my physical abilities are maximized while I'm here, and I get to put the best, because your tape is your resume, and I can put the best stuff on tape, and I can continue to potentially win championships, and if not, make sure that I'm banking for that next contract. Like they're always thinking about those things. So if you're looking at the Jets, all of a sudden you got a new head at the top, and you're showing a lot of care for the individual player. That's got to be an attraction.
Yeah, so a lot to look forward to as a Jets fan right now.
Good.
Unfortunately.
No,
Sorry, man. It was
Hey,
like
you gotta have competition. If no competition,
No, the
that's
Patriots
not
had 20 years of no competition, and I'd be okay for 20 years of the Bills having no competition. Thank you very much.
Well, too bad.
You want to stay in division or you want to go to the Giants?
let's keep going around the horn. I like this.
Okay. So the Giants, Gettleman has finally done something.
Just do something.
Yeah, every year I say, just do something. Just one guy, just fucking do something. And he finally did. Kenny Galladay is a Giant. Best wide receiver in free agency.
Only because
Arguably the best wide
once
receiver.
Allen Robinson got
For
tagged.
how much?
Yeah.
What? Don't worry about that. Why you gotta bring up negative shit?
I'm just
Was it
just
4 years,
curious.
72, I think?
4 for 72, something
it's like
around
18,
that.
It's like 18 a
With
year.
28 guaranteed at the time.
18 million a year.
Well, it was like 18 million a year, but what they did also because of the low cap is that they only had like a 3 to 4 mil cap hit this year, and then you're looking at like 21 mil cap hits for the next 3 years. Now, so that's going to hurt, and you're not going to be able to move on from that.
Yeah,
like,
the Giants gave out the most guaranteed money out of any franchise in NFL history this
well,
year.
between him and Leonard Williams alone.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, was
Leonard
that
Williams
worth
is-
that? Was that worth that contract?
We'll
Leonard Williams?
see.
Like just below Aaron Donald money.
Yeah.
Because you know,
Second-
If
second
he got
highest paid
paid that
defense.
last year, was he earning his money?
So last year was the prove it deal, and he did prove it.
all right.
I don't know. $20 million a year is hard to swallow for anybody.
As
Yeah,
a
but he was
jet,
hungry
he was
last year. Hungry
Yeah.
dogs.
Like Travis Kelce said after during the Super Bowl, before the Super Bowl that they won.
Hungry dogs are gonna run. Hungry dogs want to eat, kind of thing. So it's like when you got your
As
Yeah.
a
you're playing
jet,
on your contract year.
he was great at just getting there just after you know what I mean?
Yeah, but he led the Giants
Just
in sacks.
almost getting there. He was the best at. So if you're happy with it, all right, cool.
They're also different. Well, they're also different.
Defensive system.
Yeah.
That's a little edge.
Yeah, the Giants' defensive system 4-3
That's what
works, and the 3-4 that the Jets
It
ran.
fucking better work for us now. I'll tell you that.
What was the defense where they blitzed everybody on the last play of the game?
Cover zero. Cover
That's exactly
zero.
what they did. They covered 0 people.
No, on
I
the
think that was-
fastest player in the league besides Tyreek Hill. What was his name?
Lamar
Henry
Jackson?
Ruggs, the
No,
third.
no, he was the one that bit on the Lamar. His name was Lamar Jackson.
That was the corner.
Yeah.
our corner.
Yeah, our
but
corner.
But
he bit on
Ruggs.
on the
on Henry Ruggs. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
on the last play of the game.
yeah.
He bit on the fucking jerk.
He didn't
off.
bite. That's fucking what?
He
No.
sat down and
Bowen,
covered.
we gotta watch the playback. I'm telling you. But anyway,
No, he did. It was like this
I
very
digress.
slight sluggo fake, and I don't know why you.
I'm gonna
fucking
let
had
sleeping
it.
dogs
He was
lie.
getting burned whether he bit or not, buddy.
No, but Kenny Galladay.
So Kenny Galladay, he had by far the highest contested catch percentage.
That's what happens when you can't separate.
And Daniel Jones.
Also deep catch percentage.
That he's good at.
And DJ throws the ball deep, like 8 or 9% more than the NFL average.
He just can't run more than 30 yards or he just falls.
I mean, his top speed was higher than Lamar Jackson's top speed all season. And then
You saw what happens when people
I mean,
like us trying to run that
playing in
fast.
this market, it must have been those ghosts. It must have been the
It might
same.
have been.
The Sandy
It might
Darnold
have
ghost
been.
came out
Dude,
and just
hey, listen. I'm not gonna argue that one.
tripped him. Casper has a sense of humor, but I like it. I like big-bodied wideouts. Big boys play on the outside.
Yeah, you remember that Roddy White comment?
Yeah, and I mean, when Sterling Shepard at 6 foot is your tallest wide receiver, and then they got Darius Slayton, who I like, who just needs to get better at the release, get better at beating the press, and he'll be good, or better. And him and Kenny Galladay will be a good 1-2. John Ross to take the top off. Sterling Shepard still underneath.
And let's not forget the biggest weapon you got in that offense, assuming health.
Kyle Rudolph.
I was gonna say Saquon Barkley, but that's a
Oh,
But I'm gonna say right
Yeah,
now,
if he's healthy.
yeah, the Galladay thing. I will say this: I do think it was a slight overpay. Good for Galladay for getting
the real market value kind of thing. 'Cause
that is what he should get. The contested catch rate is a little skewed in my mind because yes, he was constantly running and bodying out deep guys down the sideline, and that's a skill that you either have it or you don't, and Galladay's got it. But you also make contested catches a lot when you can't separate from the cornerback, and so that's great that you got strong hands. But Daniel Jones is going to need to trust him because he's not going to be open when he throws it to him, and you can't the consistency of being like, okay, you made all those catches this year, it's not guaranteed you'll make them next year. But all that being said, watching how Stephon getting an alpha wide receiver for Josh Allen was like he already did well when we brought in Brown and Beasley. You bring in Diggs and you saw what happened.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, this really will make a make or break year for Jones. He's you went out, you got him everything that he needs outside of a new offensive coordinator.
well, it's also like a make or break
Yeah.
year for Gettleman too.
Because as Jones's contract starts coming up,
They're tied to each other.
yeah. So he spent a lot of money
To try and keep his job too.
That's
like
very
an
true.
investment in himself.
But it was a good. But like, it wasn't just we're gonna get the defense better. He's like, we're going to give Daniel Jones every opportunity to succeed.
Yeah.
Which, in my opinion, that's what you got to do. That's what the Jets failed at, unfortunately, with Sam Darnold, and why you guys are kind of in the quarterback situation you're in now. Is like you would know whether he had it or not if Rashad Perriman wasn't his number one.
Oh, yeah.
That's true.
Or Jamison Crowder, if you want to look at it that way from the slot,
That's
because he
true.
was actually your best receiver for the last couple of years.
That still doesn't negate the type of mistakes that he's been making and has been making since his rookie year.
Oh, since USC.
Well, yes.
But so in addition to Galladay, though, we had you had the big signing this week at cornerback.
Yeah, Adoree Jackson on the other side of James Bradbury. Very happy with.
What was one of the more underrated free agency signings last year?
Yeah,
I feel like he did not get nearly enough
Gettleman
press or
drafted
credit.
him at Carolina.
Yeah,
And he was good down there, part of the Super Bowl run, right?
McDermott's defense.
And then brought him over to the Giants. Him and Logan Ryan last year, with Jabril Peppers in the back, was pretty good. And now you step it up another level with Adoree Jackson. The guy can stay on the field. It'll be phenomenal. It'll be very hard to go deep on him.
And the special teams that he offers too.
Yeah.
Like that kid is electric. When he's healthy, he is one of the most electric athletes on the field on either side of the ball.
That's why I'm glad Jason Verrett got re-signed.
Two really good pickups.
Yeah, I remember because you was it last week or when that you were a big fan of Adoree Jackson. I actually was
something.
saying I don't know about it. I wasn't sure. I know he's a slot only guy and whatnot. But to be perfectly honest, it's also that defense. Like when you watched how varied that defense played last year, I just believe that they're going to be able to use Adoree Jackson to the best of his ability. I don't think he's a line-up outside and don't worry about him type of guy.
Right.
So that was sort of my hesitancy, but using him the right way, and if he gets his chance to play on the special teams unit, I do not want to be the guys who have to try to defend that.
Yeah, it's a versatile player. I mean, you can't go wrong with him.
He's big money. Actually, it's the big money, but not the biggest. I think he's getting paid around, was it like the 25th or so highest paid cornerback? Maybe less. I gotta check that one. But
Do you have any other acquisitions?
Yeah, Kyle Rudolph, who has far better hands than Evan Ingram does.
But didn't that fall through though? Because
No,
this morning.
they worked past the
This morning.
foot. He's getting his surgery. They
is he
signed
going to be
him.
ready to play this year?
Yep.
That's-
He says he started. He's going to be ready to go week 1.
That's solid. Solid right there.
Yeah. Kyle Rudolph, he was great.
And what's the injury?
It's something with his foot.
It's not plantar fasciitis.
No, it's not fasciitis.
That's a pain in the ass to deal with all year, if that's what it was.
And he's a big body guy. So Kenny Galladay, a big guy, increasing your size. Kyle Rudolph, big guy, increasing the size of the target for Daniel Jones.
Do you think that helps Ingram at all?
I think it sort of hurts Ingram a little bit because they also re-signed the guy whose last name I can't pronounce, Tolaleo or something like that.
Levi Tolovio
So it's something like that.
Yeah.
It's Toiltoli.
He was that guy that would catch touchdowns for Atlanta, and he was always on that helps nobody segment because nobody rostered him in fantasy, but he still somehow vultured like 6 touchdowns a year.
Well, Isaiah McKenzie. 282 yards and 8 touchdowns.
Week 17 against Miami alone, he
Wait, what? That's his stat line?
Yeah.
Because
Oh my
he's
God.
our gadget guy that catch it. Like we give him the reverses,
and he against Miami he had
He's just so shifty.
he had like 2 touchdowns or 3 touchdowns on 2 different phases of the game against Miami week 17. I actually had him on on the keeper
On the
league.
DraftKings? Oh, on the keeper league?
Yeah.
Nice.
On our dynasty league.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
We'll get to the Bill signings in a moment, and we'll get to go more in depth on one of the most fun guys to watch. Devontae Booker, like you said before, we had Wayne Gallman. We could have just re-signed the guy we already had.
Yeah.
So
He had a good year, really good year for you guys.
Wayne Gallman or Devontae Booker?
No, Gallman.
Yeah.
At least every time I was watching and he was doing something.
It looked like when he got going, he really
Yeah.
went.
Like that game against Seattle, I believe it was. Didn't he have a great fucking day that
Yeah, it was
day?
like a 5.4, 5.6 yard rush average,
Yeah.
something like that.
That was like their most impressive win last year. I didn't see them winning that game.
So,
I said,
like,
no way.
letting him go and signing Devontae Booker.
Colt
It's
McCoy
like,
is the quarterback. I said, holy shit, they won that game? That is awesome. I used to hate the Giants, but I really don't hate them now. It's not like when the Mets.
a lot
Yankees.
of Jets fans are like that.
Like, I don't have a problem
Why
with
do
the
you guys hate
Giants.
on us?
No, I don't have a problem with them. I really don't.
You wouldn't until if they won, if they kept winning, you would hate them all.
Well, both times I
We
root for
both
them in the
suck
Super
right
Bowl,
now.
they were playing the Patriots, so I had to root for them. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I'm
Big
used to
brother
rooting
got to
for
do what
them.
little brother can't.
Yeah. Well, fuck off.
Anybody else?
I can't say this guy's name. Odenigbo? Did I get it
Mm-hmm.
right? Odenigbo, the guy from Minnesota. They signed him to a prove-it deal. The Giants needed an
Wait, what position?
edge rusher.
Okay.
The Giants need an edge rusher.
Just a
So I think it
rotational
was
body, a camp body. You need those bodies that you can just spend low on. It's probably one of those below the top 51, so it's not even counting against the cap at this point. I have to check how much it is, so don't quote me on that. But that's how it works. You only count the first 51 contracts.
Are you
until day one.
Are you happy with that? Do you think you should have
they-
pushed on
they-
some bigger guys or bigger names? I mean, at that
You got some
position?
big names like Galladay,
Yeah.
Jackson.
Guess what? You got
No, I mean,
Saquon
at
Barkley
the
coming back.
exposition.
That's like a new acquisition right
Yeah,
there.
that's true.
How
about that?
Saquon Barkley coming back is like a new.
That's like a new acquisition, as a lot of idiots say, but
We got John Ross. I like John Ross. We talked about him last week.
What about Ryan Anderson?
So I have one guy before I get to the linebackers. Sky Cannon Mike Glennon.
Oh yeah.
I like him.
Wait, you
picked him up?
Quarterback?
Yeah.
Talking about guys who just steal money from the NFL. Mike Glennon.
Not like what's his name? Sam
Sam
Bradford.
Sam Bradford.
What a crook!
No. The guy's like, give me $70 million. And the Rams are like, here's $70 million. And he's like, oh, my toenail fell off. I'm going to sit out 32 games.
Well, I mean,
And they're
he
like,
also was
what,
right before
what
the-
about our money?
He was right before the rookie wage scale also, so he definitely benefited from that. But
He signed like 6 deals. He just kept stealing money.
But you know who I actually think is the biggest crook, and
That's
it's
the
straight
Eagles.
up.
Jamarcus Russell?
No, he straight up. He got his money.
He
and
robbed
ate it.
them.
He got his money and he ate it. He could have came back as an offensive
$70
lineman. He chose
million
not to.
on Big Macs.
But yo, Bart Scott pointed this out this morning. I was watching Keyshawn J. Will and Zubin. He was in for them. And he mentioned Nick Foles.
Yeah.
Because Nick Foles twice has somehow, someway, he got the Rams to give him a buttload of money for nothing. And then
He at least won a Super Bowl.
and then he got the Jaguars to do. He went to the Jaguars, got paid a buttload of money, and got beaten out by a man who wears jorts.
Hey,
Okay, just put it like
Gardner
that. If a
Minshew is
man
the
in
man,
jorts
though.
beat you, came in
Hey,
and said,
Pat
"I can
McAfee
sell."
wears jorts.
Pat McAfee's the exception, not the rule, and we all know that.
what about Stone Cold?
Yeah.
Now we've got two exceptions. Okay.
I think we're starting to see a different rule. Note to self: make jorts.
He did win a Super Bowl though. I mean,
No, he played well in that game. I'm not trying to take anything away from that.
He played well in that playoff.
But outside of that 1 year,
no, he got him back the next year, right? They went back to the
no,
playoffs the
Carson
next
Wentz
year.
was there for the first half, and then he got him back there.
Yeah.
I guess you could
And
say.
then, who was the jerk off that the pass went through his arms? They would have won that game too. I'm telling you. It was against the Saints.
Aguilar.
Aguilar, that was it.
He's on the Patriots now.
Big Dick Nick, I'm telling you, man. That's what we used to call him.
Large Richard Foles. But Sky Cannon Mike Glennon, I liked him when he was on the Bucks. And then they drafted Jameis Winston the next year, something like that.
That was a smart decision on their part.
I guess.
Not the drafting of James Winston, just the decision to move on from Mike Glennon. I didn't care who the hell it was.
They
Hey,
knew
when the
it.
hell did that happen? I didn't hear nothing about that.
I didn't either. You also didn't hear
yesterday.
about Vinny Curry, so.
And that choke team.
Yeah, well, that was.
Stay in your lane, bro.
All I said was, when did it happen? I didn't go after you about the guy you picked last week. Don't worry about it. Brian will bring it up.
It sounds like you just did, but I.
We'll let sleeping dogs lie on that.
I like both linebackers that they signed, Reggie Ragland and Ryan Anderson. I think Ryan Anderson was very good. He's still very young. Reggie Ragland, not quite as young.
Well, they're both Ryan Anderson's 26, but he was a good edge rusher, rotational piece in Saban's Alabama defense. Ragland was a good middle linebacker in Saban's defense, but being a second round pick from the Bills back when we had Rex Ryan, I just got a sour taste in my mouth because I had higher expectations, and he turned into that 2-down thumper a la Jarrah Davis, or those guys who they're good at what they do, but unfortunately with the way football is evolving, they have less value to the roster.
The Giants' D last year was very good on first down, very mediocre on second down, and very bad on third down, especially third and short. So I think getting the thumper to help on downs that are running downs, I think it's a good signing. And Ryan Anderson, I think him next to Blake Martinez is going to be very good. Because obviously O'Shane Zimenez either isn't developing fast enough or just doesn't have the confidence of the coaching staff. Otherwise, they'd put him in. Lorenzo Carter will be back. But
he's more of
what do we get? 6 games before he's going to get hurt again?
He's also more of a pass rusher than like a nickel coverage linebacker. Like he's not gonna take a running back out of the backfield or stack a tight end or anything like that. Really well.
Yeah, but I like the Anderson signing more than the Reggie Ragland one. I'm just excited about the Reggie Ragland one because I like him as a player.
I got you.
But yeah, so I'm just glad Gettleman fucking did something. He finally did something.
I also like that kid Austin Johnson. I don't know why. I've liked him since college. Maybe it's because I still have him at like these thoughts of him developing into something that obviously at this stage in his life he's not going to. But you know when you have that affinity for somebody that you just remember when they were coming out of college and you were like, I thought you would have been a good day 2 draft pick. Even if you're wrong, you still just for whatever reason can't let go of that.
Yeah.
That's for some reason he just kind of symbolizes
One of
that
those
to me.
guys.
Yeah. But
And then last team.
Buffalo. Well, I guess the biggest one is that we brought in Mitchell Trubisky as our backup, which I actually really like. I was a big Matt Barkley fan for a while because Josh Allen.
He was at USC.
Well, I mean, I thought he was overblown. I knew he had a bit of a noodle arm, but he's one of those guys who just didn't. He doesn't have the physical body to keep up, kind of like a Colt McCoy.
Okay.
Like, he has the head, he can play quarterback in the NFL to an extent because he's got physical limitations. Kind of like Chad Pennington.
Just about to say.
You know, like, so maybe not quite that accurate, though. Chad Pennington can hit a dime. From, like, within 20 yards, he can hit anything. Once you got to 21, it was very questionable.
Mm-hmm.
But bringing in Trubisky was not just good because he's an upgrade from talent. We're at the point where Josh Allen does not need that mentor quarterback in the room anymore. When he was a rookie out of Wyoming, we needed Derek Anderson in that locker room just to bring
Tyrod.
Yeah, we needed those guys to kind of be around him and to like say, okay, this is like, you know, show him the ropes because it's very overwhelming, especially if he's coming from a smaller school. Like Wyoming is not something that produces a lot of NFL talent. Mm-hmm. So Barkley being there was able to kind of just show him, hey, this is how we prep, this is how I prep, this is how I do things. And whenever he had a question, he had somebody to go to. He no longer necessarily needs that quarterback voice.
Yeah.
You've got other players, you don't need that. So bringing in somebody who has a similar, albeit inferior, skill set to Josh Allen, but is somebody who's mobile, who's somebody who you can run similar type of bootlegs and QB movement type and move the pocket ideas as Josh Allen, it just makes it so that way you're not having to completely revamp the offense if something happens to him.
He's used to that cold weather too.
That too, coming from Chicago. And he also I'm good. And he the deal's very incentive laden. And most of the incentives are kind of performance based, so assuming that Josh Allen doesn't get hurt, hopefully, it's still going to be a relatively cheap contract for a talent upgrade at the backup quarterback.
It's not only good for the Bills, it's good for Mitchell Trubisky. I mean, it gives him a chance to revive his career. He can go there. He can if something happens to Josh Allen, and he comes in and does really well, he could sign somewhere else later on. You know, how many years did he sign? Just 1 year. So I mean, next year he's got a chance.
That was Bean's selling point to him. What kind of idea? And that's why I think he took less money. But it did surprise me because I 100% agree with you. It's kind of like when Teddy Bridgewater, Breeze got hurt 2 years ago, or last year, however you want to look at it. And
he was like
2 seasons ago,
5-0 or something.
he went 5-0 and turned that into a 3-year, $60-something million deal.
Before that, he was with the Jets.
Something like that.
That's how we traded him.
He was looking really good in the preseason.
So that's what got him there to the Saints, and then his tenure there got him to the Carolinas. So it's
not
giving these guys a chance.
And this offense, like, you come in, you get Diggs, you got Cole Beasley, you've got like Gabe Davis hopefully takes a step forward. You got continuity on that O-line, and you obviously have an offensive coordinator who is very lockstep with the quarterback.
Right. So
And he's not bad.
No, he's not. He's just not. The fact that he got taken before Deshaun Watson and before Patrick Mahomes, and they traded up for him, it was just a very...
He gave up the fucking farm.
Right.
Raised first,
and he was
to move into the second overall slot.
Yeah, like, that's a lot of... And this entire... and then... That's phrasing.
Well, I meant for the Jets, the second overall slot.
I'm thinking Archer.
Yeah, fair.
But anyway, so I do really like that pick. Bringing back Isaiah McKenzie. I know that wasn't a free agent. I was bringing back our own guy, but anybody who watches the Bills knows that we use a lot of jet motions, knows that we actually ran the second most 4 wide receiver sets of anybody in the NFL last year.
Behind who? The Cardinals?
Yep.
Yeah.
Good, good call. But so we obviously like to spread them out. We like to let them breathe, as we like to say. And we like that jet motion. And we also lost Andre Roberts this year, who is what has been one of the best kick returners.
Where'd he go?
I want to say Houston.
I think you're right.
But so we don't have that kick returner, so we can always draft somebody. But having somebody who has experience, like
That's all he did, though. He didn't. Did he actually play during the?
rarely, like he did when we were in a pinch. Like John Brown was hurt a lot last year, so there were times where sometimes he made it there. But
That's the selling point. I mean, these coaches need versatile players. If you're gonna,
depth.
right?
Need the horses, man.
And especially when you talk about a guy like McDermott, who never was a big NFL guy, so he got hit, he played safety, and he did a lot of special teams. So those coaches, I think Tomlin was similar. When you have special teams experience, I think Joe Judge.
Yeah, Joe Judge is
was
special
similar.
teams
When you
coach
play
before he's head coach.
when you play special teams is a big part of your life. You appreciate that phase of the game more than other people, and I do believe like. We can say what we want about Bill Belichick and whatnot, but like there's a reason that Slater was always there, and like there's a reason that special teams unit was always one of the best because he understood field position, even if it's only 5 yards.
And Joe Judge
a
was
big difference.
Belichick's special teams coach.
Yeah, John Harbaugh was a special teams coordinator before he became the Baltimore head coach for the last
for the Eagles.
10 years or something.
I think it was whatever it was. I think it was.
I thought he was in house actually with Baltimore, no?
I could have sworn it was with the Eagles under Andy Reid, but I could be wrong.
He is the Andy Reid tree, I think. I think you're right with
I
that.
think you're right.
Yeah.
So maybe you are right.
I like the Manny Sanders signing by the Bills.
Yeah, that became official, and that's huge. One, I don't care what you say. That man, no matter even at this age, he doesn't have that same speed. He can still separate, and that's one thing that the Bills understood. Like when we marched out our first year, when we marched out Kelvin Benjamin and Zay Jones, and the throwing windows were non-existent. I'm glad. Like Bean was like, okay, if we want Allen to succeed at all, we got to make sure we get him guys that get open. Like, so when you look at Cole Beasley and you look at Stephon Diggs and now you look at Emmanuel Sanders, those are 3 guys that throughout their have made careers out of I'm gonna be open.
Right.
At any point of the field, I can get open. So I definitely think that bringing in him is a solid get, especially with John Brown leaving. I think that one of my also favorite ones, Jacob Hollister. I don't know if you guys knew this. I told him this earlier. Jacob Hollister actually played with Josh Allen at Wyoming.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they actually connected for about 8 touchdowns, I think, that year. And
Nice.
so they have that connection. And so that one, I really like that. 2, Jacob Hollister is one of the better receiving tight ends. I think
he's a little underrated because he was like behind DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they also had Will Dissly, and they also had Luke Wilson, and they also are a run-heavy team that started to throw to Chris Carson a lot more last year, so there's just less opportunities. But
so what does your tight end room look like now?
right now it's Dawson Knox and Jacob Hollister at the top, and then we've still got Tommy Sweeney in there. We've still got Reggie Gilman, who's like that tight end, fullback, H-back combination.
Do you see Hollister maybe taking over on Knox's position?
So what I see is that it's meant to push Knox because ultimately Knox was a high upside guy. He had 7 total receptions at Ole Miss when we drafted him because he was playing behind DK Metcalf and A.J. Brown at Ole Miss. So you're not going to get a lot of targets at that point. And you think he was also a converted quarterback when he came in to college. But so he was basically drafted strictly on athleticism and projection. And he's showing that ability, but he's not showing the natural hands that you really want. So I definitely think that, and Bean mentioned this in the postseason presser, we need more production out of our tight ends. Mm-hmm. Especially when we saw Travis Kelce completely destroy us in the playoffs.
You think they might run a few more ace sets where they have Knox and Hollister in?
I definitely think that's possible. I definitely think that they're both also capable of splitting out wide. So you all of a sudden like come in with an ace package, one running like a 21 package with 2 tight ends, 1 running back, and all of a sudden now they spread out wide. And now linebackers, instead of thinking that they can kind of stay home in the box, they have to spread out, and that's what Josh Allen loves. Like Josh Allen loves when you spread out because it makes it easier for him to see. It also opens up potential quarterback rushing
Wyoming
lanes.
is big sky country.
Yeah.
Gotta let him breathe.
But so I don't think he's gonna overtake it. I don't think he was brought in to overtake it. I definitely think it's a possibility, but I'm hoping that this is the third step because tight ends, take a while to develop. Knox has a lot of potential. I think this is like a safeguard. Plus, they have similar talents, so I think that it just makes the offense more versatile by bringing.
I feel like that's the only thing you guys are missing is a really good tight end.
Yeah, I mean, like, don't get me wrong. If Kyle Pitts all of a sudden drops to 30, then I will hand the card
It's
in
never.
for that,
He's
but-
not going to drop to 5.
No, I understand that. I completely understand that. But
Well, maybe 10.
They're
Maybe
right
10.
there, though, man. They really are.
no, yeah, and I agree, and especially in this game where you see what like Darren Waller even can do, what George Kittle can do, what Like these tight ends that
Makes all the
actually are
difference.
game changers.
It makes all the difference. I mean, look at Belichick. Belichick knows it. He signed the two top tight ends this offseason.
Yeah, he
so
wants Gronk and Hernandez again.
he's going to control the middle of the field. That's what he always does when he's successful.
Well, that's also because he knows what Cam Newton is. Cam Newton isn't that accurate, so you know what we're going to do? We're going to be a run-heavy team, and you can't know what we're doing because we're going to have 3 tight ends on the field at all times, even though we'll throw, and Cam Newton has bigger targets that are not necessarily going all the way down the field for him to hit. So, like, Belichick... That was actually a very low-key... Like, people making fun of how much money he's spending.
I mean, he spent
way
way too much on
dog.
Aguilar.
It's the dog working the computer.
The Aguilar
But
one was a little...
The previous 10 years, they spent $400 million, and the first, few hours of free agency, I think he spent $165 million.
Something like that.
That was
He also
unbelievable.
drafted 2 tight ends last year. And
Asiasi and Dalton Schultz. Dalton Schultz or Dalton Keefe?
I think Dalton Schultz.
No, Dalton Schultz is Dallas.
I don't remember. I know
My
exactly
favorite free agent signing for the Bills is Matt Hack.
The punter to replace Boho. I was torn on it at first. Because I know he's one of the best, but Boho was coming off of his... Bojorquez was coming off of his best season with punting. Now, granted, he also punted, I think, the least or second least of any punter in the NFL, so maybe he just didn't have enough opportunity to screw up. But he was coming off a good year kind of idea. But that being said, Matt Hack is... He's one of the better punters. He has one of the best...
Great directional kicker.
Yeah, he has one of the best... He was much better at dropping the ball inside the 20, which obviously is a good way to flip the field position.
Yeah.
So that was a good low key one.
Any other guys you guys pick up?
Like we re-signed he's re-signed depth linebacker Andre Smith. Just the guy who knows the systems to have in the locker room is a good thing. We re-signed Tywan Jones, who is more of a special teams guy. And honestly, I just like him ever since. I don't know if you guys remember that play against the Chargers. It wasn't him returning the punt, but they punted. Our guy muffs the punt, and it goes back into the end zone. And so Tywan Jones circles back, picks it up. As he's breaking a tackle, his helmet gets ripped off, and then he gets tackled and hit helmet to head in the end zone, and is just down for a bit. And he ends up getting up and whatnot, and he was okay. But when I saw that was one of those moments where you realize, like when you're a kid, you're like, I can play in this, and then you see that, and you're like, nah. That's me. My parents are sitting shiva for the next week because I'm not making it.
You gotta be careful, man.
But nothing big like that. We restructured Matikevich's contract, which I was a little about because I wasn't a big fan of him, and by restructuring, we're just kicking the can down the road. So he's definitely gonna be on the roster. He's a special teams guy. I like him. I just think we overpaid a little bit for him. And then F.A. Obata, who was one of those international exchange program guys. Came over from England.
Okay.
He's been jumping around a bunch of practice squads, but he actually had 5.5 sacks last year, which might have actually been second or third on the Bills last year. We don't get to the quarterback very well or very consistently, but
you make it up on other places.
Yeah, and so thank you. And so kind of just getting another guy into there, again, one of those low-risk, high-reward ones. If he doesn't make the roster, he doesn't make the roster. It's not a big deal thing, but was somebody that when I see, it's always nice to see that your GMs are turning over every stone and paying attention to the little things, not just trying to go for the big fish.
Yep.
Yeah. The little details are really what do it.
In New York everybody is really happy with what the office is doing. The front office is really killing it for all 3 teams right now, I think.
Yeah.
It's been the best, especially for you guys, it's been the best in a while.
Yeah, they needed it. They had to do something.
Do something. No, but and then obviously we've got the draft coming up, so there's still plenty of time. Yeah. We still got another month or so before the draft, so there's still plenty of free agency.
Trey Turner's still available.
Hey, Joe Douglas, it's all on you now, pal.
This is the make or break season for him. I mean, he's got
his first year without Adam Gase is the make or break year.
Yeah,
he's got all control
because he's going to get rid of Sam Darnold. Well, it's the decision whether he keeps Darnold. It's the decision where he keeps Darnold or he trades Darnold.
I think that's a great way to segue.
That's a perfect teaser for the next segment.
Because we have one of the biggest Darnold supporters, and you do not want to miss what he's got to say.
That's it.
So,
take a break real quick.
Buy a break and we'll
all right, guys.
Rally back.
We're gonna break and we'll be back.
We'll be right back with not free agency or draft.
No, we're gonna do some Sam Darnold trade talk.
Okay.
And we're back. So anyway, as we were discussing before, though, we were about to embark on what we will call the Sam Darnold. We got to come up with a cool name with it. I'm not good on the fly. I had too much coffee. My bad.
Keep
the
Drake
Darnold
cut.
drama, the Darnold drama, the Sam situation, the Sammy D Sitchy.
It's a working title. Give us a break.
Sam
there,
sexuals.
The point being, though, is like you guys drafted a quarterback a couple of years ago, traded 3 second-rounders to move up in order to snag this kid. He was projected to be a can't-miss prospect. I remember this. Like everybody actually
Every
thought,
quarterback that year was a can't-miss prospect.
except for Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
They were very much so.
Yeah.
One's a wide
It's so
receiver
amazing,
and one
yeah.
can't throw the ball, and they're both now arguably the two best in the draft.
Mayfield is not. He's serviceable. I mean,
He's
he's
starting
more-
to come around.
I think Baker Mayfield's good.
I think he is too. I
He
will
rallies
say.
his teammates too. So
I
Yeah.
will say though, if you look at what Baker Mayfield's asked to do versus what Lamar Jackson's asked to do for his offense, and what Josh Allen is asked to do for his offense, Baker Mayfield is asked to put less on his shoulders.
I agree.
In my
Yeah.
opinion, doesn't mean that
Yeah.
he's bad. He's very, very good at operating that offense. Kevin Stefanski's brilliant,
He's got
and
talent around, a lot of talent around him.
and he's got a lot of talent around him because again, that's the way you build up around a young
Yeah.
quarterback is you give them every reason to prove that they were wrong, that they were either the right choice or the wrong choice, and you move and you make decisions from there. You can't just guess. But that's not what the Jets did. The Jets were hoping that Sam Darnold was going to come. I'm joking, but in all seriousness, the Jets draft Sam Darnold. He unfortunately, through both his own issues of inaccuracy and injuries and things that he can't control, and worst of all, Adam Gase. He obviously has not had the greatest of a couple of years. Yeah, I know. Adam Gase is worse than Mono.
Worst of all.
Worse than Mono.
Oh man, yeah. Sammy D has not had an easy.
no.
No,
Like,
it reminds me almost of
timing.
an Alex Smith type of situation. If you guys remember when Alex Smith came into the league, he
Yeah,
had a
yes.
different offensive coordinator the first 5 years or something
I
like
thought
that.
it was
6
yeah.
years of his career, he had to learn a different offense every time. No wonder that man is brilliant. But anyway, so
Yo, did you see Project 12?
yeah, Project 11.
Project 11? Did you guys see
Oh, the
that?
documentary on him?
Yeah,
not
I'm
yet.
coming back
Oh
from
my
his
God,
leg
he is
injury. It's awesome.
I need to check it out.
So when his leg initially broke, they just put it back together, fixed it, and he was good. He went home from the hospital 3 days later, just like it was a normal procedure, and then apparently got the flesh-eating disease.
That's right.
And
I
had
did
to go
remember
back.
hearing that,
And he
yeah.
had how many surgeries was
Like,
it?
Oh my god, I think it was 12.
I thought it was even more than that for some reason.
He had, it probably was. They had to take muscle off his ass and put rebuild his calf muscle because it was all, they had to cut away all of it. And they show the pictures in the documentary, and it's oh, that's a drawing from a medical textbook, but it's
They actually
his leg.
They actually told him that his injury was more reminiscent of an army person who stepped on a landmine.
Yeah,
No shit.
They said it was more
And that-
reminiscent of that than any football type of injury. that
and that's
they
why he
usually
did
get.
his rehab at a vet clinic,
Yeah.
with veterans, not.
But it's definitely a must.
I
It's
gotta,
definitely.
I gotta check that out.
It's a must-watch. If you didn't respect Alex Smith before that, you definitely will now. And it also will explain why every time we watched him last year and he would take a snap back, we're just
Yeah.
don't touch him.
Or Aaron Donald laid him out on the second or third play he was back in the NFL, and it's Aaron Donald, you could have just yelled boo. You
couldn't just,
you didn't have to light up the Christmas tree. You could have just been gotcha.
Oh, yeah, they were all holding their breath.
Yeah, we all are.
Everybody was.
But
It was awful.
I'm still expecting to see him in Jackson.
Comeback player of the year. He deserved it. And he said Washington didn't want to let him have it.
Then he
Washington
helped-
didn't even want him back because
Then he
arguably,
helped
I mean, let's be
someone
honest. You saw the amount of money that he was getting paid for. I took the Washington football team in Madden one time because I just wanted to move them, and I didn't think anybody would miss them because they don't even have a name. And I'll tell you
What
right
the
now,
fuck?
you know who was the biggest pain in the butt in that game? Alex Smith, because he was taking up so much of my damn cap space, and he was a 64 overall. So I can understand if you translate that to real life. I understand that's a video game, but that's to an extent what real life they
Right.
were probably looking at. They were like,
Right.
we have a 32, 33-year-old quarterback coming off of arguably the worst
career
injury we
ending
have ever
injury,
freaking
yeah.
seen, and I'm a new coach, like Ron Rivera, I'm a new coach. I don't want to inherit this thing. I really didn't think he's going to come back, and now he works his butt off to come back, and he's costing us this much money, and we look, it's a horrible PR hit.
Helped
If,
him win the
if he
division.
does all this and you don't even give him a chance.
Yeah, they signed Fitzpatrick instead.
I mean,
Patrick's never made the playoffs.
yeah.
Just saying.
He's still probably one of my favorite football players of all time.
Actually, no.
Reckless.
He's the Mr. Hit or Miss, right? He's either going to throw 6 touchdowns or 6 interceptions.
Yeah.
He's not having a Brett Favre day where he's going 3 and 3.
Right.
Like it's
one or the
it's
other.
all or nothing.
He
yeah.
did have 6 or 7 interceptions in one game for us.
Against the Cardinals, I believe it was, on a Monday night or some
I
shit.
think you're right.
And they didn't bench. No, it was against Kansas City. 6 of them, and I think 3 of them were in the red zone.
At least it was only in one game. At least it was an
3
entire
of them were
game.
like right in a row.
It wasn't like Nate Peterman throwing 6.5.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we
And
all
then he got
forgot about
another
it.
job.
He got another
job by John Gruden.
Yeah,
It's the only place he could get a job.
that's like if the chick who opened the ice cream and licked it in the supermarket got a job in a different
And
supermarket.
Dairy Queen.
Yeah, like you can't do that.
Like, I don't understand how
These
Nate
fucking people.
Nate Peterman must be a real nice guy. You know, they always say that on like the talk shows when they really don't know the guy doesn't have the skill. It's like he must be a real nice guy, like a real family guy. He has those values. If that's your way of saying this guy sucks and is just a very, very good sick.
He's a good person, not necessarily good at.
I think Mayock was all over him in the draft too, wasn't
Well,
he?
that's why the Raiders signed him, probably.
Yeah.
Mayock also was high. I think he had Kaiser as the #1 quarterback that year.
I remember
Trubisky as 2. Watson, I think, maybe as 3, and then Mahomes down at 5.
The
and I
fuck
think
does he
4.
know? Exactly.
Which is surprising because I always thought he was actually a really good scout. Like I liked listening to him when he was at the combine and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But I gotta be honest, that quarterback ranking obviously now in hindsight looks awful. But
Maybe he was like
the Raiders are just not making good decisions. It
No.
seems.
Maybe he's the Bishop Sankey of draft people. Where like he's great at breaking down all of the little things in it, but he's not actually good at drafting.
Maybe.
Like he could tell you Jimmy Clausen has a perfect throwing motion, and then you see Jimmy Clausen in the game getting lit up, can't complete a fucking pass, and it's like,
Forgot he was even in the NFL. Forgot
Yeah.
all about that.
Carolina.
Who's been
He was the
really-
one replaced after 1 year by Cam Newton.
Yeah.
Who's been really accurate though with their quarterback rankings has been Chris Sims. And
Yeah,
he-
he called out Pat Mahomes accurately. He
Yeah.
called out who was the other one that recently
Deshaun
yeah.
Watson, Lamar Jackson. I remember
Yeah.
him being really on Lamar Jackson, not so much on Josh Allen. He may have, but I just
Mel
don't
Kiper
remember.
was though. I'll give Mel Kiper credit on
But
that.
you know who Chris Sims is really high on this year? Who he's
Zach
got?
Wilson.
Zach Wilson.
Got him higher than Trevor Lawrence, to be honest. I think that's
It's an
a
interesting-
little bit too much, but
I
it says something to Zach Wilson and his talent for this year that is just a really good reason why the Jets should take him.
So you want to take a 23-year-old quarterback who's been in the NFL for 3 years, well, not 3 full years, has played in New York, is all used to that. Let's see, he had 2 retards as a head coach.
Don't think you can say that.
You could cancel that out, I guess. Cancel culture, sorry. So he got hurt in 2018. His 4 games when he came back, 16 for 24, 170, 1 touchdown, 1 interception against Buffalo. After that, Houston in a shootout, 24 for 38, 253, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Next week, Green Bay, another shootout, 24.
What week is this?
Huh?
What week? What year and what week?
This
you
is
talking about?
2018 after the foot injury. These are the last 4 games of the year.
Okay.
Oh yeah, those were like those 4 games where the Jets fan base was like, "Look how we ended the season. We're going.
Right.
We got
We're
something.
also
to
playing
get some
teams that
motivation."
were playing their
They went-
backups too.
No, they weren't. Deshaun Watson played for Houston. Let's see. Allen played for Buffalo. I believe that was the game you went up there. He threw it that touchdown. He was running all over the field at one point and threw it to Robbie Anderson in the end zone.
Yeah,
That
thanks for reminding me
game.
of that one.
That was the first one we came back. Then they lost against
I was
Houston in
not
a
happy that
shootout.
day.
I can imagine.
I was not.
All right,
happy
so
that
then
day.
against Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers, they went to overtime. 24 for 35, 341, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. And then the last game of the year was against New England. He couldn't figure that out. 16 for 28, 167, no touchdowns, no interceptions. But when he came back after the foot injury, he was...
So wait, less than 200 yards and he doesn't turn the ball over, and you think that's a good game?
No,
No,
I'm
he's
just,
saying that was- he
I'm
said he couldn't
giving you,
figure that one
I'm
out.
giving you
Okay.
the last 4 games, all right?
And the Patriot, and that's
So-
Bill Belichick's defense. You know what he does
So
to young
the last
quarterbacks.
4 games, he had 6 touchdowns, 1 interception of his rookie year. 2019, after mono, Dallas, 338 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick.
He
These
won
are
that
just
game, right?
they won that game, yeah.
I remember
They
that
won
one.
like 20 to. They had to stop him on a 2-point conversion at the end of the game. Right here, the Giants. This is just I only had enough time to put the wins down. Giants 230.
How convenient.
You don't have to mention that part. We can cut that part. Oh, just edit that part.
Well, I was doing the best as I could. Giants 230, 1-0. Washington 293, 4 touchdown passes, 1 interception. Oakland or Vegas, whatever they are. 350.
I have to call them Oakland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
315, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Miami 270, 2-1. Pittsburgh 183, 1-0. They won that game. Buffalo 199, 1-1. So in those games that they won, he was 13 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Not great numbers, but obviously the ratio was pretty good.
Yeah.
Then don't forget this year they beat the 2 playoff teams, the Rams, which we were all pissed about at the time when they beat them, right? 22 for 31, 207. Cleveland 16 for 32, 175, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. The problem, like, I don't know. He's not blowing. It's not Pat Mahomes numbers. When he does not turn the ball over, they win, no matter what their defense is doing.
Bourne, you did this in 10 minutes, and you said that you did it. You wrote the wins down to save time.
Mm-hmm.
Is that because there were twice as many losses?
Let's see. I didn't write all the losses down.
That's going to be my counter to you. I mean, the guy's been way too inconsistent.
Yeah,
in order to be a serviceable quarterback in this league, you have to be at least consistent.
Was Mark Sanchez consistent? No.
He also had a lot of
Consistently inconsistent.
exactly.
I don't know. Like
Tom Jones was
he's
consistent.
but Mark Sanchez had Braylon Edwards. He had Antonio Holmes. He had Jericho Cotchery. Thomas Jones running the ball, LaDainian Tomlinson running the ball, Sean Green running the ball.
And that defense.
What do
And
you,
that's
Sheldon
what do you
Richardson
say to
blocking
the,
for those guys running the ball.
what do you say to the
right.
boneheaded plays that he's been doing for the past 3 years? That a coach, it doesn't matter what the
Tony Richardson,
about a coach.
sorry.
That should be, these are mistakes that no quarterback should be making. Doesn't matter who the coach is. When you're not throwing the ball off sides, when you have no one to throw to, but you just decide to throw it into fucking one guy that's covered by three other defenders, or you're just missing totally wide open wide receivers in the middle of the game. These things are not have nothing to do with the fucking coach.
I know what you're
Have
saying. Trust me, but what I'm saying is, I still believe in him. I still think he has potential. He's a lot. Who's more talented, him or Mark Sanchez? Wouldn't you say Sam Darnold is?
Mark Sanchez went to back-to-back AFC championship.
Yeah, but I
games.
just mentioned.
Yes, I would say Sam Darnold is more
I
talented.
just mentioned everything that was around him, right? About Mark Sanchez.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're going to have a quarterback, there's going to be years. Look at Aaron Rodgers. He's never had a real. The Packers haven't taken a wide receiver in the first or second round ever.
Devontae Adams was second.
Well, that was probably the only one.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, they don't really give the guy too much help.
They drafted his replacement when he's still got 5 good years.
Aaron Rodgers is the one who's making the team win. I mean,
Yeah.
along with all these other quarterbacks, that's who you need. You need somebody to be the one to make everyone better. Sam Darnold is not making anybody better on the Jets.
I mean, Brashad Perriman looked capable, which is more than I ever thought he would be.
The one guy.
But I understand what you're saying.
The one guy he did have a connection with, Robbie Anderson, they got rid of.
Not only did they get rid of him, he did not sign for that much money,
No.
and you guys had nothing else.
Right.
What
No,
else were you
it
gonna
was
put him-
definitely
that.
they signed Brashard Perriman for only a couple $1 million.
Yeah.
less.
Hashtag blame gaze on that one.
I mean, that was a boneheaded.
They gave
I agree with
Sammy D a lot of weapons, or they brought in a lot of weapons. Corey Davis believes Sam Darnold.
What else is he gonna say though? Like you mentioned
Yeah.
that before. What? Like,
He has to say that.
If he says, "Well, yeah, they told me that Sam Darnold's not going to be here, so that's why I'm here."
And
What the fuck do you think is going to happen to that? And these beat reporters are just eating this shit alive and just saying that Corey Davis, oh, it's Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold's the guy next year. It's like, what the fuck, man?
And if
These guys are going to do anything for
It's
fucking
not
click-
just that
for clicking.
maybe I'm a little biased towards Sam Darnold, but like I said,
Listen,
Is it because he's not Geno Smith?
that has nothing to do with anything.
Listen, I'd be the first one to tell you that if I really felt there was a chance, the better move is obviously to keep Darnold, trade out of the number 2.
That's what I was going to get to. Yeah.
We're going to get a haul for it. I get that. But do you really think that Joe Douglas is going to risk his career on the back of Sam Darnold, who's
Who a guy he didn't draft? A
guy who
he didn't draft?
He didn't draft. It's not his guy. And he hasn't proven shit. New coaching staff is here, is in the building, and they're going to start over. They're not going to keep this guy.
I'm tired of starting over. Been starting over since 2010.
Let me
Enough.
Let me ask you this really quickly. Out of curiosity, if Sam Darnold were in this draft, where would you guys rank him amongst the Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, Trey Lance, Mac Jones?
He would be right behind Trevor Lawrence.
No.
Yes.
No. He'd be behind Trey Lance, I think.
Yeah.
No way.
I sort of like Trey
Sure.
Lance.
The NFL is all these quarterbacks that are coming, they're all mobile
Trey
quarterbacks.
Lance?
Trey Lance.
Really? The
Yeah.
guy who has one very bad game on film this year against Central Arkansas, I think.
We're talking about Sam Darnold, who had terrible mechanics and still does, and that's what haunts him.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay, yeah, I'll give the
Ghost on him.
To be fair though,
They all say that.
quarterbacks
They all
say
say
that,
that.
and that's not said. He just got caught.
He
in
just got
it.
caught.
We had the
mic,
mic
yeah.
on that night.
That's a very well known term.
I'll
in
give
the
you this.
quarterback room.
He keeps throwing the fucking ball across his body, which drives me nuts. But that's fixable. Okay? They
Is
had to
it?
yeah. They
In
had
year
to,
3?
yeah.
Look at
yeah,
Josh
it is.
Allen. Look at Josh Allen.
They had to give Mark
He
Sanchez.
learned, didn't he?
He did, so why can't Sam?
He hasn't now. Why would he ever?
They had to give Mark Sanchez
Josh is better.
a wristband
because he had
that was
Adam
color
Gase coaching
coded.
him.
Adam Gase wasn't the one teaching him that, or telling him to do
No,
that.
he's been doing it since USC. Like that was his biggest
yeah,
knock.
so
is that he's been
he
his
goes-
coach's
he
job.
goes
His
to,
coach has
uh,
to coach him to stop doing that.
But he's going to what's
Does
his name?
Adam Gase coach?
He's going to
No.
Palmer.
He
What's
didn't-
his name?
Not Jesse. Jordan.
Jordan Palmer every offseason to work with this fucking guy. So is Josh Allen. They
that's why
work
Josh
out
Allen's
together.
mechanics are so good as he goes to.
They
the
work
combine
out.
and walk out.
They have the same fucking coach.
They were roommates during the combine.
So I mean, you would
Josh
think
Allen's
that
out.
Sam Darnold would be keeping up with Josh Allen if he's actually gonna fucking learn. Has he learned? No, he hasn't fucking learned. So why would anybody want to go forward and take the risk with this guy?
For what it's worth, Zach Wilson though, like this year, don't get me wrong, I've been high on his potential for a couple of years, and part of it just because I've always liked BYU. I don't know why growing up, but anyway, I guess it was Steve Young probably is why I liked him. But anyway, he was not nearly this efficient and this mistake-proof last year. I'm not saying that he wasn't good, but there was a significant improvement between last year and this year to him. So, is there any fear that he was a one-year wonder in college, and you're basically real?
They all are one-year wonders. Ben Roethlisberger was a one-year wonder.
Justin Herbert wasn't.
He wasn't, but I mean, it's a lot of these quarterbacks.
Yeah,
if
Joe
you go-
Burrow was though.
You go look at most of the quarterbacks in the NFL that are decent quarterbacks. A lot of them are one-year wonders. They all get better.
I'm going to give you
Their
the
tenure.
Don't forget, injury the first year, ankle, mono the second year, right? That takes a lot out of you.
That's his own fault.
Third, come on. All right.
Third is what?
Third was the shoulder. Did you see what
He
happened
dropped
in the
his
Denver
own.
game?
He keeps dropping his own shoulder. All that tells me is he's unreliable. And
He's not unreliable. You
he's-
see what? He got
he's
fucking
so-
pile drives
he's-
into the goddamn fucking
he's soft.
turf.
Then you need to.
He's soft. Did you see the fucking replay?
Yeah, I did.
And he still came back in the game. He told
He
Franco,
made-
get the fuck, take
He
your
may
fucking helmet off and go
drop
back
his shoulder, but then he goes out for 6 games.
3 games.
If you're gonna go out for that amount of time, then don't fucking drop your shoulder. You're hurting the team.
Oh my goodness. No, you know who's hurting the team? The guys that weren't fucking blocking for him is hurting the team.
So everybody but Mekhi Becton.
Yeah, pretty much. Now George Fant
George
was all right,
Fant was fine.
right tackle. He was all right.
Connor McGovern did his job sometimes too.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
We're gonna get some mentions from his mom because that's probably the first time Connor McGovern's ever been talked positively. And George Fant, I'm telling you right now, Seattle's probably in your DMs being like he was never that good for us.
He was actually
No,
pretty
he was-
good.
he
George
was a
Fant
good right
last
tackle.
year. I
He was a
actually
good right
had.
tackle.
I actually could never really say, wow, he really fucked up there. He was pretty
You,
good.
you didn't
That means
notice him.
something.
You
Yeah,
didn't
like
notice
Gordon
him.
keeps like a burn notebook
Yeah.
of all the Jets I fuck up. You all better be scared. You better be scared.
Going
Not
back-
just Mark
going-
Sanchez,
going
but
back
was
to-
it Brandon Moore's rear end that he ran into? That rear end, watch out because you are on that list.
Going back, yeah, David.
The
Barrett,
thing
top of the
too
list.
is, we're going into this draft, assuming that we're not gonna fucking pick from the number 2 spot again. We're gonna keep getting better. This is the opportunity. Say if Sam doesn't fucking, say if we keep Sam and he doesn't
Yeah,
fucking
next year you
pan
guys will
out.
have the 6th, and
That's-
then the year after that you'll have the 11th.
Either way,
Is that how you guys work?
even if you are right, if we have the 6th in this year, we would be out of the top 3, 4 top quarterbacks. We'd be out of that running. Then we have to fucking trade to move up. Why
Wait,
we're gonna
alright,
put
so-
ourselves in
alright.
that position again?
Hold on, let's go around the room real quick, right? Who's the Jets starting quarterback week 1? Third time we're doing this. We have to do it each week until we have this, something happens.
Until whoever's right can rub it in
Yeah.
the loser's face.
Go ahead. You say Zach Wilson.
Sounds
I
still.
say Sam Darnold. Who do you say? I don't care who
I know
you
what you've
think.
been saying, so let's see. Are you going to be as inconsistent as Sam Darnold, or as consistently inconsistent as Mark Sanchez?
Until they draft someone else.
Sam
Gotta
Darnold?
go
Okay.
Sammy D.
And you said...
It's going to be Zach.
Okay.
Look, and here's the thing. It's strictly, don't get me wrong, I've been saying that Sam Darnold was going to be a buzz from day one, so I don't want to all of a sudden try to be like, oh, look at me, I was right. What I really want to focus on is the money piece. It is a business, and while I completely understand his point, and to be perfectly honest, I would not take Trey Lance over Sam Darnold, even with Sam Darnold's problems, because these mechanical things, trust me, I was the one who said you don't get more accurate. I wrote an entire article showing how
Buffalo
accuracy
Rumble
matters. Yeah. About how accuracy doesn't improve and you need those are the things that you need to do, and that's why Baker Mayfield, and believe it or not, Mason Rudolph, according to Bill Parcells' rules, Zach would have been one of his quarterbacks. Bad choice, Bill. But anyway, I didn't think you can improve accuracy. Josh Allen just straight up cock-slapped me and said, yes, you can. Watch, hold my beer. And just did. And so now
It also
I'm like,
drastically improved the amount of talent around him.
that's true, but you also watch the mechanics. He's under his feet. He's not throwing off platform. He can, but he's not doing it on every throw. And I believe firmly that Sam Darnold can make those strides. All that being said, it's by May 3rd, I believe, is the deadline to have to exercise that 5th-year option. It would be 18
19.
It would be almost 19.
Almost 19.
Almost $19 million
For the 5th year.
for guaranteed.
Is that breaking the bank? Is it? No.
Well, when you take a rookie quarterback, then you don't have to pay them.
We're not.
Yeah, I think it's $6 million.
The rookie quarterback thing.
Here's
I'm
the
going to go
thing.
down that road again.
Actually, no. Look, here's a little twist. Here's a little twist to this thing. Because don't get me wrong, I'm saying Zach Wilson as well. But here's where the question comes down. You were going, and you guys can disagree with me if you think so, but you have no leverage on trading Sam Darnold the second you hand in that card with Zach Wilson's name on it, or any quarterback's name in it. Meaning you have to trade Sam Darnold before the draft. Because if you draft Zach Wilson, every second-round pick offer that might have been on the table from teams has turned into a 4th or 5th-round pick because they know you do not want that circus of a rookie quarterback and the previous savior
100%.
in the same locker room.
100%. The Jets have been waiting for pro days to be over first until they make the trade. They said that from the very beginning. So if there is going to be a trade, it's going to happen before the draft. It's going to happen soon.
So let's start thinking about this. So you don't think they're trading the second pick? You're thinking they're trading Sam Darnold?
Yes.
I want to hear some ideas where.
I was going to say Washington, but I think
still say Washington.
They're starting to dry up. Like all the quarterback spots are starting to dry up.
I was going to say the 49ers, but then today I hear Gardner Minshew there may be in that mix.
That would be.
Oh, is he officially there? I know that he.
That would be a disaster if he
Because
was
C.J. Beathard went over to Jacksonville, and obviously with him and the assumption of drafting Trevor Lawrence.
That perfectly. If they did trade him, I think that he would be perfect.
Yeah, and he would be in California, home where he's used to.
Okay.
I think that'd be a great fit for him.
And they could free up some cap space by moving on from Jimmy G because I don't think they have any guaranteed money left on that deal.
Right now, I think that's the best spot for him is the 49ers. Just the Gardner Minshew thing kind of threw me off, but they could be involved with both. Who knows?
All right, so let's say they keep him though, right? $19 million for the 5th year. Let's say he has a good year this year, a good year next year. We know what he's done the first 3 years. How much is he going to be asking for? Right?
You're assuming that he's going to have a good year this year and next year. I mean,
if I have a good year playing on 19, I'm looking for anywhere between 20 to 25 on a deal at least.
20 to 25, right? What are some of these guys
on a short-term
now?
deal? Because I'm not signing a 5-year deal at $20 million a year. I want like 30 something if I'm going to be signing a long-term deal.
So what are these guys making now? Like, not Mahomes, take him out of it, but. Some of these guys are going to be making like Dak Prescott, he's making 40 a year now, or 43, whatever it's going to be.
Something like that.
That's
what Allen's going to end up making. That's what Jackson's going to end up making.
You can't pay Sam Darnold 25? You should be able to do that, right?
You're taking the risk on a guy that may or may not work out.
We're going to take a risk on a guy we've never seen play in the NFL.
Well,
and you see what kind of offense they run.
At least you know that there's a chance.
They don't run that fucking offense.
Sam Darnold there's no chance in New York. There's a chance for him somewhere else, not New York. He hasn't proved shit there. He can't He's not consistent here. He needs to be on the beach in California, where he can go surf and then fucking play football. He can't do it.
Okay, so the fact that we have hopefully looking at a stable head coach now, stable front office, pretty good offensive system coming in here that can fit for him. You're just gonna say, nah, he's 23. He's not 29 or 30. You know.
It's strictly the money, I think, is the
They're not gonna
It's
franchise.
money, and he hasn't proved shit in 3 years. I mean, it doesn't matter who the coach is.
Okay, so when he goes somewhere, all right. So when he goes somewhere else,
I'd be happy for him.
Yeah,
It's just not going to happen in New York.
When he goes somewhere else and turns it on, and we draft this kid from BYU, and I've heard a lot of negative things about him, just character issues to start, and then we're gonna be throwing him under the bus. And then we're gonna just start again, and it's gonna be over and over and over. We got more problems than just the quarterback, which I believe we can fix with the same guy. You can trade
Based on what?
What?
Why do you think we can fix it?
Because I've seen it.
From why he went to the same school off the off season with Josh Allen. He hasn't fixed shit. So why do you, on the off season he works out with Josh Allen with this every off season he's with him. They see the same fucking guy. They go over the same fucking drills. They do the same shit. Josh Allen has learned. Sam Darnold has not.
Oh, I don't know. You could say I don't really have I can't really back that up. I'm just saying the problem is that there's more than just we have more problems. I still think this kid's young enough. I still think he's smart enough. He has a lot of talent. Wilson's not going to fix everything. And I guarantee, and I got a good.
Well, if they trade down to 4 and take.
I'm not saying he's gonna.
Sewell.
Sewell. My problem with that, I'm gonna say it straight up, is like
that you got 2 left tackles.
And why is Atlanta trading up?
Like that. Zach Wilson.
See, in my opinion, I don't think Atlanta's taking a quarterback personally. They just restructured Matt Ryan's deal, which makes it harder to move on from him. So my thought process is they're going to try to put together an offense that's able to compete around him and eventually take a quarterback. I know a lot of people are saying, let's bring a young one and raise under him.
How old is he now?
36, something like that.
Yeah,
don't get me wrong, he's still...
That's not that old for a quarterback.
But not only that, do you realize how many years have we seen mock drafts where the Chargers, before last year, were like, they're going to take Phillip Rivers back up and raise him up, or the Steelers are going to take Big Ben's successor and they're going to raise him up, and none of these teams do it. You want to know why? Because they understand the financial benefits of having a rookie quarterback start on a rookie deal and paying off the wazoo for all the other players around him. So why the hell am I going to do the Jordan Love thing, because the Packers are stupid, but why am I going to do the Jordan Love thing to draft a quarterback in the first round to waste all of the financially
maneuverability, financial maneuverability.
I'm missing the word here, but the years where the money is manageable.
The rookie contract.
I would counter that. None of these teams had the 4th pick in the draft for how long? And there's 5 really good quarterbacks in this draft that they can take, and the league is changing. I mean, it's these older guys, except for Tom Brady. They're not going to be able to keep up.
No, but when you restructure a deal and you kick the can down the road, it makes it harder to move on. Like, it makes it harder. They're going to eat more dead cap if they at any point move on from Matt Ryan now because of the way they restructured to give themselves immediate cap space.
They find a way.
You always can, I know. We saw Carson, when you see the Jared Goff and Carson Wentz deals get dealt, you understand any contract can get dealt if the owner is willing to swallow that much dead money and pay them to play for another team. I get it, but I just personally, once I saw that, I think that they're going away. Like, I think that's where Kyle Pitts ends up if he makes it to 4 personally. But now we're getting off.
That would be crazy.
So you heard my side, you heard his side, right?
Yeah.
Now you told me who you think is going to be the quarterback. You said the same thing. If you were the Jets, what would you do? If you were the Jets, not what you think they're going to do, what would you do from the outside?
If I could, and straight up, if I could get if Carolina can't get like Deshaun Watson, because we see that that Tepper wants to make a splash, that he wants to get that quarterback, and it looks like this is going to be the year, especially because there's a lot of talk how next year's quarterback class isn't touching the potential of this one. I'm trying to get him on the phone, and I'm trying to tell him, hey man, you come up to 2, get whoever the hell you want since you missed out on your guys and move back to 8, and I'm going to take, and I can get a potential blue chipper down there, and I'll build around Sam. If I can't trade, the whole idea of, just trade the second pick, you need 2 to tango. So unless you get a second guy to trade with you, it's really a moot point. If I'm able to trade out of it, though, I'd be tempted to do it for the sole fact that even if Sam Darnold does well, you don't have to pick up. You can pick up his option, honestly, and then work a 3-year deal or something like that.
Yeah.
Like,
they're not going to franchise him.
to be perfectly honest, I think I'm honestly just trying to convince myself, because if you can go trade down and get all those first round picks, I think it's worth it, because you can offset the extra pay you're paying Sam Darnold with all those first round draft picks
On
that
rookie
you're putting around.
contracts.
If you can't fill that treasure chest of first round picks by trading back, though, I feel like you gotta get San Fran on the phone, you gotta get Denver on the phone, you gotta
Denver,
get
that's another one.
I got a couple over here. Vegas, if they don't love Derek Carr, because he's got no guaranteed money on after this year. So if they want to take on that 18 mil for next year kind of thing, they could.
They also don't have to exercise the option.
Chicago's so damn desperate at this point. I wouldn't put it past Ryan Pace to make a stupid decision. And then also Pittsburgh, if they want to, because they have Dwayne Haskins. But let's be honest, we all know what that is. And Mason Rudolph, we also all know what that is. So does Myles Garrett. And Seattle's the only other wild card. And I'm thinking Seattle for the sole fact that
Russell Wilson's not happy.
Russell Wilson's not happy, and if it's one of those, like Russell Wilson leaves somewhere and then they can get Darnold. I know 3-way trades don't happen often, but Darnold at even 20 to 25 mil seems like a easier pill to swallow for a run-first team that is paying their quarterback 40. But
Especially when a majority of his job will be throw the ball deep to DK Metcalf.
right, so in my opinion, I guess my answer is it's really dependent on what the trade market is offering me. If I can, I want to. It depends.
At the end of the day, you
What
still
would you
believe
do?
that Sam Darnold can be good.
No, but I never thought he could be good.
So why would you keep him?
Because I don't think that because I don't know that Zach Wilson can be good. I don't know that Trevor Lawrence can be good.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason
Would you
I-
rather take the risk on the possibility rather than knowing that he's not going to be good?
I disagree with you. I think that Adam
He's
Gase,
gonna
I think
be
the
good.
New York media, I think the lack of talent around him has severely stunted his growth. I understand that he goes and practices with Jordan
That's
Palmer in the
exactly
offseason, but
That's exactly why.
wanna
I
know why
think
he
it's not
sees
gonna work
ghosts?
here.
Because he didn't have continuity on the O-line like Josh Allen did. Like, we don't have the best O-line, but these guys have played together for a while and know each other and
The
communicate.
ghost that he was actually talking about was in the secondary.
Oh, I thought it was about the pass rushers. But like, I understand.
There's a lot of ghosts for Sam Darnold.
And what he was talking about in that game, that was the secondary.
He was talking about he thought he saw guys that were there that weren't. Meaning,
Look, straight up, I'm making a
Right.
decision based on, I'm not looking at it as a quarterback situation, I'm looking at a Jet situation. And the Jet situation is, do I have a rookie quarterback with what I'm building right now kind of thing? Or do I have the quarterback that I had with a whole lot of rookie ammunition coming in the next 2 years?
Mhm.
Those are and I think both are very viable options to go with. The trade market for either Sam Darnold or that number 2 pick would dictate where I go.
How about you, Matt? What would you do?
I think if they could find a date to go to the prom with, trading wouldn't be the worst thing. Just you get the capital for next year,
Trading Darnold or trading the pick?
trading the pick.
So I'm alone here, huh?
The last
No,
time
I'm
looking
literally
out for you, Sam.
I'm literally sitting on the fence like that.
So it's
that-
gotta go
that fence
fly
post
at
is right
times.
up my
So
right.
mine has nothing to do with Sam Darnold. Mine has everything to do with the value of the second overall pick.
The Jets control the draft with that number 2 pick because we all know who's going number 1.
Well, it's
I
also
hope he takes Zach Wilson at 1 just to...
Yeah, right.
it's also
Because then
one-
he'll be singing a different tune.
Yeah,
He'll be like,
of course
Sammy,
I will.
though.
Yeah. Well, I was until the fucking Rams game came around.
I know, you had your Trevor Lawrence jersey like on
What a
layaway and everything.
boneheaded.
Yeah.
The guy, I don't want to fucking talk about it. Fuck out of
And then they followed that up with another win against Cleveland. But anyway, I digress.
You're not supposed to be upset when your team wins.
Well, I was this year, and so were you. Right? We were all
fucking
pissed.
furious.
I was doing cartwiels when on the zero blitz play. I was doing.
Oh my God!
cartwheels.
Yes, I was running around.
I was going nuts.
I was like, Ruggs caught it. Ruggs caught it. But
But yeah, the going rate is 3 first-round picks.
For the number 2. It depends on where you're coming up from, I feel. Like, if you're not getting 3 first-round picks to drop down from 2 to 4, if that's your scenario.
right.
No, but you'd get 2.
Like, what do I...
No.
No,
You get-
it's probably gonna be, if it's the Falcons, it'd be their first and their second round pick. That'd be it.
If you think
Didn't
of...
they just sign?
Because if you think about it, the
who did
Jets were at
just sign?
6, and the Jets were at...
6, and then went up to 3 with 3 second-round picks.
Yeah.
But
Like, if they went down Carolina, I think you could... Especially with how desperate they are.
But
That's why I think that's the team. If you're going to deal with that to them, deal with them, let them take their guy. If you get 3 first-round picks, I firmly believe 3 first-round picks and Sam Darnold is a very viable option.
At the time when they made that
despite
trade,
because those 3
despite
first-round picks are more
the
valuable.
fact that I completely understand your concern, and I expressed my concern. I didn't think he was going to be good coming out of USC to start with. I was also wrong on Josh Allen, though, so maybe you shouldn't listen
Everybody
to me.
was wrong with Josh Allen.
Except for Mel Kiper. And Josh Allen, apparently.
And Boomer Esiason, actually. He was all over
Yeah,
it.
screw Boomer.
He was alright.
Yeah, no, I just don't like the Fox crew
I
nearly as
listen
much.
to him every day.
Oh. But so you're leaning towards trading the second pick and sticking with Sammy D?
Yeah, just because the value that you get for
That
the
second
pick.
pick.
The second overall pick is certainly more valuable than Sam Darnold is at this moment on the trade market. So if the idea is to say what can I get more for, it's obviously going to be the pick. But again, you need 2 to tango.
So you still would rather have Zach Wilson instead of keeping Sam Darnold and getting
You
maybe
guys
a
aren't going
boatload
to change
for
my
that.
mind.
A boatload for that?
But we're also assuming that we can get a boat. Like if you can't trade
No.
that second pick, like if
It
you're
doesn't
getting
matter.
lowballed
It
for
doesn't
that,
matter.
you use it. Like
It
if
doesn't
you're
matter. You have the opportunity to take a quarterback in this draft to make your team better when your current quarterback can't make anyone better. You take the
Yes,
But
you
just
can,
because you can,
period.
just because you can take the quarterback doesn't mean you should. Just ask the remember when Cam Newton went first overall, and then the Jaguars took Blaine Gabbert,
You
and
take
then
the
the Titans
risk.
took Jake Locker,
You gotta
and then the Vikings took Christian Ponder. Those are 3 GMs that got fired.
Hey,
Those are 3 GMs that no longer have
most
jobs. and-
most
at least their own
GMs
jobs.
will get
You've
fired.
seen enough
You're
from Darnold. That's
consistently
what-
taking risks.
You've seen enough
You
from
really
him.
don't know who's going to really fucking pan
No, I
out.
got
All
you.
all
I
you
got
can
you.
go off is what the scouts say, what you see. At the end of the day, it's always all a risk. Most of these draft picks that we're going to have, what your team's going to have, what your team's going to have, 80% of them are not going to pan out. And that happens in every fucking
No,
year.
being after dark will nail it.
You know what I'm saying? Most picks do not pan out. It's the undrafted guys who are actually consume most of the league. So
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. Obviously, there's a lot less first-round picks in the league than there
you
are.
got to take a risk.
Anything. I
You
got
got
you.
to take a risk. Sam Darnold has not proven to anyone that he can elevate the team.
So if you can get 3
Yeah.
first-round picks for that second overall pick, you're not taking it.
What quarterback do I have this year?
You have Sam.
Why would I go with Sam? I know he's not the answer.
Because you're
I don't
getting
think
because you got 3 first-round
three
picks.
first-round picks for the next 2 years.
But I never know if I'm going to have the opportunity to take pretty much the pick of
You have the
year
ammunition
besides-
to go up and get whoever the hell you want with
besides-
those many
Yeah,
picks.
but
though.
why would I want to do that when I can
You
take the
love
guy
Zach-
right
here's the
now?
thing.
I don't because he's not the guy.
Here's the thing.
I'm
Do
telling
you-
you,
it's
he's
about
not
Zach
the guy.
Wilson.
But you're
Let's make
assuming Sam is.
So let's make this about Zach Wilson. Is Zach Wilson the guy? Not just, we need to get a quarterback because we're in the position to do it.
We don't-
Is Zach Wilson the guy for you?
We don't know. We're not going to know, but I know Sam isn't.
I beg to differ on that.
No,
Based on what?
I got you.
He hasn't done shit.
I don't think Bourne's saying that Sam Darnold's the answer. I think Bourne's saying the jury's still out on Sam Darnold. So
The
give him
jury,
a
that's
chance.
that's a good phrase for it. The jury's still out.
I disagree with that because
It's
I mean,
closer
I-
to being out than it is to being not out.
And OJ was found innocent.
I put more emphasis on what the
Oh no, he was
quarterback
guilty
does
of
than
tearing up the NFL.
who their coaches are.
Look,
I mean,
if
the
they-
coaches
if-
do
if
help,
they
but I mean,
draft- if
the
they-
guy can't throw a pass to an open receiver. If he's seeing ghosts all the time, if he's making rookie mistakes that he's still doing in year 3, I mean, why do you want to go forward with this guy?
How many times? The seeing ghost thing. How many times are we gonna talk about that?
Oh, we're
You
gonna
know,
talk about
what I
funny,
mean
man.
is he's
I know.
not seeing.
We're still
he's
talking
not
about the
seeing
butt
the
fumbles.
field.
Yeah, the butt fumble was funny.
He's not seeing the field.
Daniel Jones tripping is going to be talked
Right.
about forever too.
I don't know about that.
All right, so if
I
they
wouldn't
trade,
say
if
that.
they
We can
trade
look at it.
Darnold, if they trade Darnold, they're gonna do it before the draft, right?
Here,
They
watch
trade
this
the-
clip.
So they trade him,
That's hologram.
and then they draft Zach
Right.
Wilson. I have to obviously. I'd rather be if that's what happens. I'd rather be wrong and happy than right and pissed, like I am with some certain other things that happen in
Were you
this
saying if
country.
they stay at 2
But-
and they take Wilson over Fields? Is that what
Huh?
you're saying?
No, if they trade Darnold like you want them to, and they probably will before the draft, and they draft Wilson, and it work, I'd rather be at that point. I have to be on board with it. I have no control over this.
Well, if the Jets
But
decide to keep
I'm
Sam
not
Darnold, I'll be Sam's biggest fan. I mean, at this point, it's just like this is where I'm at.
Right. Okay. Fine. You have your ideas. I got mine. At the end of the day, we're still gonna obviously
Right, wherever we are.
whatever Douglas does, we have to
Right.
we have to be a fan of it. But
The issue that I really have, especially, is that I feel like I know it was hard for them to make the decision because Douglas, obviously, bringing in the new staff, you had so much turnover, you can't make those type of decisions right away. But, like we mentioned, when Fitzpatrick went to Washington, and when Dalton went to Chicago, and when, what other quarterbacks have moved around so far?
Wentz.
When Wentz going to Indy.
Yeah,
thank you.
that
we were starting to
narrowed
see
down
Sean
Sean,
Watson going to the massage parlor.
Sean Watson going to the mean machine.
That narrowed down the options. If you're
Dak
gonna trade
Prescott
him.
getting that extension, like you're by waiting, and I understand you had to wait because ultimately that wasn't something that you were going to come in day one. We're trading Sam Darnold. You got to get to know what your situation is, especially because if you don't have any quarterback on your roster, Corey Davis ain't coming. Like Corey Davis is like, at least I know Sam Darnold's throwing it or a rookie guy. You're telling me you got nobody, and the first thing you did was jettison your quarterback. Okay, but. The fact that they waited so long means that there's just less destinations. So it's one of those situations where I'm trying to think. I think that they will trade Sam Darnold too, but where? And the longer you wait, aren't you losing leverage?
I can see your point, but I think they've been talking in talks with other teams for a while now, and I think that
he hasn't
and
gotten the offer that he wants.
Well, we don't know that. From the reports that I've read, which who fucking knows if they're true or not. But they've had deals in place that they haven't executed yet because they wanted to go through the pro days first. So I'm banking on that actually being true, and Joe Douglas being a good GM and him doing that. That's where I'm at right now.
Well, yeah, to be a GM, you got to take the call, no matter who it is.
I'm sure he's answering.
Ask Jamal Adams, you know.
I'm sure he's answering. I'm sure he's answering, and I think.
Well, if Russell Wilson leaves there and Jamal Adams stays
awesome.
in fucking
awesome.
Seattle,
yeah, screw him.
You really do not like Jamal Adams.
No, fuck him.
Fuck him. And the horse he rode in.
I was his biggest fan, but then when he wanted to come out, leave the Jets because he is just a fucking.
He also
wasn't it because he just realized that Gaze was toxic and was kind of taking that organization down into the shit.
He also gave up on his team.
He also had the balls to say, if I'm going to come back here, you got to extend me. But if I get traded anywhere else, I don't need an extension.
Right.
Fuck him.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I did not like his press conference when he gets up there with a cigar being like, oh man, it feels so good to make the playoffs, and then they get shellacked in the first round. And it's like, Jamal.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, he also is proof that LSU is DBU. But that's...
I mean, the guy's an incredible athlete.
No, I know, but...
Incredible talent.
I would hate somebody...
He's way overhyped in coverage.
Oh, no,
But
yeah, he's a blitzer and inbox guy only.
Yeah, I mean, he's a great player, but he's also overhyped.
No, I got you. And he's definitely contributing to Seattle's problem, because Seattle's in a big cap problem, because not only you're paying Russell Wilson, you're paying a blitzing safety top dollar at this point. And
man, he would be fucking great in this scheme that we have if he didn't become a fucking asshole.
He probably would. It wouldn't surprise me if he would say something like, "I wouldn't mind going back to New York," and then I would love to see these guys. If that ever happens, that is going to be a topic we have to cover just to let you guys go off like that.
Nah, I think he's already left.
I mean,
Yeah, let that bird go, Steve. Let that bird go.
Yeah.
Cleveland accepted a LeBron back, but LeBron also then won a championship. Jamal Adams, no offense, brother, he's good, but he ain't coming here and all of a sudden bringing a Super Bowl on his back with him to New York. That's gonna be whatever else Joe Douglas is able to put together on this roster. But man, Sam Darnold.
I'm alone, man, huh? That's all right.
No, it's one of those things. I'm telling. Look, I told you, I'm sitting on the fence to the point where that fence post is right up my rectum.
Fuck me.
I'm really banking it on wherever it goes. I think that they will go that way, and ultimately, if I were given those two options, I would probably lean towards taking the quarterback for the sole fact that I'm also buying myself more time as the GM. Because you're right. As a GM, if I take Darnold and it doesn't work out, I really am giving myself about a 2-year max.
He buys
timeline before I
time if he drafts.
If I get Zach Wilson, I arguably have 3 to 4 before.
Right.
I'd say I have 3 before my seat is actually
I think
high.
Joe Douglas also signed a 6-year contract, so I mean
he did. 6 years, yeah.
6 years. That's when he signed it a couple years ago.
2 years ago.
So he's got 4 left, and I think what Salah signed was a 4 or 5 year deal.
I think so. Yeah.
Someone who keeps them tied at the hip.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I just also have a hard time turning down all those first round picks. To be honest,
Believe me, dude. If I felt more comfortable with Sam, that's so much more beneficial to the team.
Don't forget, they got 2 first-rounders this year. They got 2 first-rounders next year, right?
And if they could trade it and get a third first round pick next year.
Yeah.
More the reason to take Zach Wilson this year.
I mean, that's true.
But you wouldn't get the third if you.
But you already have. They already have 2 first round picks next year too, don't you?
Mm-hmm. From Seattle.
Yeah, from the Jamal Adams deal.
This year and next year.
Yes, and and I definitely believe Seattle's going to be that pick is going to be closer to 15 than to 25 next year.
Especially if Wilson's gone.
Right, even if Wilson's there, to be perfectly honest, like Wilson can only do so much
And they're coming in with a new offensive scheme, so I'm always one of those where it's like when you get a new scheme, no matter how good your quarterback.
Why they get a new offensive coordinator?
They brought the Rams' old OC or quarterback coach or something like that in as it. So don't get me wrong, I think that's a good tree to pull from. But there's always those growing pains of going to a new system. Plus, we're seeing all the moves that Seattle is making, and they're basically saying we're gonna I think Pete Carroll even came out and said we gotta have a more balanced offense after they let Russ cook, which is one of the reasons probably Russ is not happy. He's like, I'm seeing Pat Mahomes I'm seeing Josh Allen throw the ball all over the damn place, and people said he couldn't hit a barn in year 3. He's in the conversation for MVP. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, me for several years. I am being called underrated, underutilized, all these things on the West Coast where nobody gets to see me, and my wife is probably complaining because I'm not in one of those big markets. I mean, look at where he was talking about: Vegas, Chicago, Dallas. Those are big, those are meccas when it comes to where the Russell Wilson brand.
Russ coming to the Bears would be incredible for the Bears and for Allen Robinson.
Oh my God! I was hoping for it solely for Allen Robinson because if there's one man
1,500 yards,
he deserves it.
That man had to put up with Blake Bortles, and he put up numbers with Blake freaking Bortles just to get out of there to go to Mitchell Trubisky, who's now Trubisky. But you got to feel for a man who's that's an example.
It's okay. He's got Andy Dalton throwing him the ball now.
Don't get me wrong, I think Andy Dalton is better than what he looked like last year. That Dallas offensive line was decimated, and in general, that team was just not a good place.
Going with Andy Dalton is like going with Sam Darnold.
Oh, God.
You know what the fuck...
Just because they're both redheads does not mean they're the same.
Yes, it does. In this case, it fucking does. You know what you're getting from the fucking guy. You're not getting to the playoffs. You're not going to fucking win a championship, so what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, well, I mean, don't get me wrong. The Andy Dalton was the... Damn, we struck out everywhere else. Let's hope that we can pull out a 9-7 season, squeeze into the playoffs, and
maybe that's where Sam's going. Hey, maybe that's where Sam's going.
He could.
Anybody who goes under Nagy is screwed, though. Straight up. It's one of those things where...
I really think... I have a feeling that he's going to be going to the 49ers.
I think he went back to Canada.
He is.
That's probably the best bet.
I think 49ers for a second rounder or something like that.
He fits the scheme.
And again, because you also got to think of it, it's a big part of it is that money. Because that $18-19 million contract we're talking about, that's got to be exercised by May 3rd, right? It's going to be after the draft, but you're not trading for a 1-year rental on Sam Darnold, especially if you still have, what's his name on the roster, Jimmy G, on the roster. And even if you don't, you're not going to then give 1 year for Sam Darnold and then pay him big. You're going to pay him that 18, say, look, you got 2 years, let's see what you can do with this great nucleus that we have put together. They were just hella hurt last year. So I definitely can see that because especially that you move on from Jimmy G, that's $30-something million off your cap. You can easily afford that 18 or so for 19 for Sam. Denver is the other one that I look at only because they said they want to bring in competition for Drew Lock, which does make me think that they want to believe in him, but they don't fully, which is they're very right to do so.
So you bring in a guy who's just a little bit worse than him and Sam Darnold to push him.
I'd argue Sam Darnold is better than Drew Lock.
That's a possibility, but I hope it doesn't happen because we probably would get less in return for Sam Darnold in that type of situation. I think we would get more from the 49ers.
He's not going anywhere, right? This is all fucking moot conversation right now. No, it's not, but you know what I mean.
Nah, I got you. It'll be interesting up until the day it happens or the day that it doesn't, I guess.
Did we accomplish what we wanted to accomplish with that segment? I mean, did we cover it?
We certainly enjoyed watching you guys go at it. I don't think I've ever heard you raise your voice. He sounded like a normal Sunday.
Yeah, that's the part I was sort of expecting the whole time.
Yeah.
I got something out of you. Huh?
That's because we are Jets fans. That's the only reason.
That is that New York anger that Adam Gase has kind of...
Well, it's not just Adam Gase. It stems way before that.
You hit a nerve about the shoulder drop thing, and that's when I just started like, all right, did you see the fucking play? Did you see how he got triggered?
He did play linebacker in high school.
Words where he fucking pile driver.
Hey man, I'm not taking anything away from
back
his
and watch
toughness,
the
but at
replay.
the end of the day, if you can't throw the ball to the guy whose job it is to catch the ball, then you have very little usage on that team. I mean, it's one of those things where at the end of the day, Lamar Jackson is electric as hell, but if that boy can't...
They didn't have anybody to catch the ball, though. Now they have people to catch the ball. So now maybe Sam Darnold, 10 touchdowns to Corey Davis, 8 touchdowns to Keelan Cole. Could be something.
I mean, Crowder's good.
Yeah, let's not
Crowder
forget
is
about
good.
Crowder.
In the slot, yep.
And wasn't there another one?
There's Vincent Smith and Jeff Smith, who are better than you guys think they are.
And what about
With a
what's
good-
the tight end's name again?
Tyler
Herndon.
Herndon. Well,
He
Cross,
is
yeah, but
talented guy, but
He
I
sucks.
there's a lot of hype around that fucking guy.
like
He
2
hasn't
years
been-
ago, I remember
yeah,
like
he never does
2 years ago, I
I've
was
taken
like,
him 2
here he
years of
goes.
fucking fantasy in like the 12th round. Like, oh, I got the fucking steal of the draft. I can't wait. The guy does shit.
I think I got the steal of the draft in Graham Gano. Well, I had to write on the thing because he didn't come in the pack.
Steal
It's
the
so-
draft. Chris Herndon.
Yeah, why the fuck not? That's all you fucking hear, right?
Well, especially if
Adam Gase is fucking slobbering over this guy, talking about him in interviews all offseason.
Drop, fumble, drop.
What the fuck?
if his name was Frank Gore, he would have gotten the ball.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Maybe Adam Gase liked him because Adam Gase is bad, and Chris Herndon was
Isn't
not
good.
good.
There was so much upset though, because there was that one season where I thought Herndon was showing a lot of promise, and he's a physical specimen. Like he is a
He's a big
matchup
dude.
issue for
His
defenses.
first season before he got hurt, or was it after he got hurt? I don't remember. He was hurt. His first.
2018. Yeah.
He was either hurt coming into the season or at the end of the season. I don't remember.
So
But whatever,
yeah.
he had promise. He was making great plays.
Yeah.
He was getting open. But since then, I mean, he hasn't done shit.
No.
He had a DUI, which he got suspended, I think, the next year.
Yeah,
He had the
missed
DUI,
first four
and then as soon
games,
as he came back, he got fucking hurt again. When he didn't play the whole year.
So
So-
collected that paper.
And then he played last year, and we all
Hasn't
know
done
what
shit.
happened there.
He's
Yeah.
still fucking drunk, probably. Who knows? But, I mean, can he come back? Yeah. I mean, tight ends historically take a little bit longer to make their place on a team.
I wish Rob was
Hopefully that happens.
Yeah.
So now we got Tyler Croft, who, you know, has been pretty solid. So
We could have used Rob for this segment though, just for
Well, Rob's
not saying that what me and you were saying was good, but I
was
could have
entertaining.
used a third opinion maybe, or he might have been
Why?
more down.
If
the
he was
line.
saying-
Because
you
he likes
against
Sam
me.
Darnold.
He would've-
Because he likes Sam
No,
Darnold.
he doesn't like Sam Darnold, does he?
Yes.
You guys said on the last podcast
It was
when I
only
wasn't
me.
here.
It was only
There's
me
not
there.
one Sam Darnold supporter here. You said that, and Rob was sitting right next to you. What are you talking about? He says what he thinks they're gonna do is keep Sam Darnold. I'm the only Sam Darnold guy here. Come on. Is that
That's
right?
fair. I mean, I've already told you I wasn't a fan of him at USC, so I can't then say like, no, you should get him. I'm just simply saying it's all about a money game, and you should do whatever you can to whatever benefits the team, not whatever benefits the quarterback room. Sometimes
We gotta
it's
make
the
sure
same,
we
sometimes
yell
it's not.
about other stuff than just Sam Darnold in the future
Why?
too.
It's
Well,
all
once they
fucking
trade him, we
matters
won't have to
now.
worry about it. We'll have to find something else.
We got 4 more weeks of doing this.
Or if they keep him, we got 17 whole weeks that are in the season
Yeah.
to complain about how he still hasn't learned and Bourne was wrong.
I'm gonna be bald by then.
Everything's gonna be fine. Don't worry.
Don't worry, both can be beautiful.
All right. Well,
I mean, B doesn't think that. That's why he wears this hat.
I do think that. I just like this hat.
No, but we gotta see what moves. For all we know, by next week, Sam Darnold
could be
will be
gone.
wearing a different jersey, and we can be talking about how.
this could be like an omen because I could not find my jersey of his to wear tonight. So
That's
probably
what I couldn't
burned
find my
it.
T-shirt with that. That's the fake ass jersey. You know the T-shirts you buy. At,
you have one of
T-shirt
his. You have one of his.
Darnold, yeah. I can't find it.
Oh boy.
Smart move. At least he didn't
I
spend the
think
money
I
on a
threw it in the
jersey.
garbage. I'm not sure.
Wipe your ass with it.
At least then it would have gotten more usage than when he wore it.
I hope I'm right, and we're all happy. All right.
Listen, I hope.
No, I hope that you guys.
I hope
go
the
over
Jets
16.
figure it out. Whether it's with Sam Darnold or with another quarterback, at the end of the day, I don't care. As long as they figure it out. Who do I think it is? I don't think it's Sam Darnold, but like I said, at the end of the day,
Do you think it's
I don't
Zach?
really
You think
care.
it's Zach
Do you
Wilson?
think
though?
it's Zach Wilson better that like? Do you feel more confident they're going to win right off the bat with Zach Wilson in there?
I do.
Okay, that's fine.
What about versus Justin Fields? I'm just curious. We don't
No,
have to necessarily
fuck
dive
him.
into it right now,
I
but I'm
think
just
he-
curious
I
as to
think
why. Do you think Zach Wilson is a runaway number 2 guy? There's no other
No.
quarterback that you
No,
want.
because of his the time he spends in the pocket and how it takes him longer to make decisions. I think that's really going to fuck him in the NFL.
NFL is much faster than college.
Zach Wilson, I think, has a quicker release than Trevor Lawrence.
Also, I'll be perfectly honest, and I'm not saying that I agree with Chris Sims where I'll put Zach Wilson above Trevor Lawrence now, but I will say that I think that the term generational talent gets thrown around way too much.
Yeah,
And,
every year.
and I understand that they've been talking about Trevor Lawrence because he looked like this Adonis coming onto the field as a freshman at 6'5", like ripped, has a
Gold
great
locks
arm.
flowing in the wind.
Looking like
His
sunshine.
hair
Looking
is
like
beautiful.
sunshine from Remember the Titans. Like, don't get me wrong, I understand all of that. But then when it's like, yeah, I haven't had a grade on him since like Peyton Manning or Andrew Luck. And I'll be perfectly honest, there's something about Trevor Lawrence that when it comes to his processing that I still question. And the reason I question is because if you look at that Stanford team and you look at that Tennessee team that both Luck and Peyton Manning respectively were on, they were not nearly loaded like this Clemson team has during the duration. Like
It's
he went
Clemson.
as a freshman. There was also like at least 3 or 4 Clemson guys that went in that first round that year, and then another 3 or 4 that went the next year.
But I mean,
So that team was the Alabama of the ACC, essentially.
You're also
and there's a
playing
reason that,
against the best defenses in the league.
right, and he also lit up Alabama's defense his freshman year, and so I get again with great
As
talent.
a true freshman, also.
Yeah, and so I get all of that. I'm just going to be that. Like, I feel like there's not enough talk about the fact that that he's been anointed since he stepped onto campus at Clemson, and a lot of people are just ignoring a lot of the holes. So I think that Chris Sims, while I'm not sure I'm comfortable saying that he surpassed him, I don't think he's far off base saying that is a closer comparison than people think it is. I think that it's much closer to
I
like.
agree with that.
Like people are saying it's 1 and then 2, and I'm not saying it's 1A, 1B, but it's certainly like a 1A, 1C. There's just no 1B there,
I agree.
as opposed to a 1 and then a 2 down
I
here.
agree. Totally agree.
And I also agree. I think that Justin Fields needs to show a little more speed processing in the pocket. I think that Ohio State in general
He can
has
be
a
good, but I
quarterback-friendly
think
system.
in
But
the best situation for him would be